Space, the final frontier. This is a review show for Star Trek The Next Generation. Its continuing mission to explore interesting plot points, to seek out goofs and continuity errors, to boldly go where no other TNG review show has gone before. It's Wednesday. It's 8 o'clock. It's the TNG review show. Good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening. And welcome back to the TNG review show. My name is Monteban, and I will be your narrator this evening, putting another Star Trek The Next Generation episode into our vault. This evening I am joined by my co-hosts, Maz and McBob. Good evening, Maz. Tavi Turner. Good evening, Tavi. And our resident chief, Chief Sean. Good evening, Sean. Good evening to you, sir. And this evening we are consigning to the Vault Series 7 episode interface. But first, we shall go round the room and find out how the hosts have been this week. Starting with Maz McBob. How have you been this week?
Yeah, I'm good. Nothing much to report. Looking forward to a weekend up in Bedford to see the future in-laws. That's really the only exciting thing going on for me at the moment.
Nice. Yes. And taking
Tired Time Lord
parents
says
as well.
he's got a solid hour in a waiting room and his headphones, let's do this. And Ruth says she's been reading Red Shirts and Time Lord says it's so good.
Oh, yes. Red Shirts. Brilliant stuff. And Tubikins, how's your week been?
My week has been very good, a very productive week. What I was productive with, it's very hard to remember because it all had to do with kids and running around in deep snow, but I got it done. And when I rest, I will know what it all was.
It was productive. That's the main thing. Have you got a lot of snow there?
Oh yeah, it's on some places it's a meter high.
Wow.
But it's in between 30 to 50 centimeters.
And you guys
And
still happily operate in that sort of in those conditions?
oh yeah, they are plowing like madmen out there, but they're getting it clean. Like the kids were in school today. There was no people out of work. Everybody was at the office as usual.
I swear to God,
If you-
there's a slight sprinkling of snow in Plymouth. Everything closes. If it laid just for a brief minute, it's like schools are shut. Everything closes.
You say snow day in Norway and you get judged. Like, did you not wake up in enough time to shovel your driveway?
Well, I've seen thing that, you know, snow days are kind of a thing of the past now, because obviously people were learning remotely during COVID and things, that a snow day is go on your laptop and learn from home day now, you know.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Takes the although I think like the first day when it snows, you know, maybe leave them off. If it goes on for a few days, then do that. But you know, the first day it's like, come on, the snow, how often does it snow in this country or your country? It's like you may as well let them have fun with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Technology is a wonderful thing.
The fun that they have is everyone puts on their winter suits and is either skiing or sledding to work if they're not on a car.
Yeah, well, I mean, it gets cold here, but the idea that you'd have enough snow to build a snowman probably only happens every 3 or 4 years. It just doesn't happen. You'll get a little dusting here and there, and layers of ice and frost, but snow, not so much.
No, it doesn't really snow in Plymouth either, unfortunately. Good
Yeah, well, you're
evening.
near the coast, so.
Good evening, Sean. How's your week been?
Yeah, busy week so far. I was in Dublin Monday and I was in College Green of all places. So the bank I work for, it was the Bank of Ireland was the first bank in Ireland, and its headquarters had the House of Lords in it back in the day. So it has this huge grand building, but any schlub like me can just book a desk and just go into it. So I was wandering around this building with all this history. It was the country's mint, it was the country's first bank, it was the country's first parliament, and they just go, yeah, swipe your card in, you go. So that was the highlight of my week. Other than that, the only other thing I've been this week is cold, because it's barely been above freezing all week, and yeah, it's been a bit. Before Tavi sasses me out, it's been cold.
Yeah, we have been very cold this week. It's been down to like 2 degrees, and so Tavi's
-4,
like
-5.
Yeah, right. 2 degrees. Yeah, it did almost get down to 0 one night. It was mad.
That's summertime here.
Well, I'm
Mid-May.
inland, but my whole life I lived on the coast, so it's worse than inland. It's more frosty. So I miss being on the coast. A little bit of salt air, and yeah, down south it's nicer.
Good evening, everyone in live chat. Good evening, Tired Time Lord. I hope you're well and your videos are going well on your channel. Ruth's been reading Red Shirts. I've really got to get that book. Yes, apparently it's very good. Good evening, Mr. Tavikins. The beard! The beard is in the house. He says there's no such thing as a snow day in Norway. I believe it. I believe it. I bet you've driven in some terrible, terrible conditions. Good evening to Wookie. Good evening to you, sir. How is snow mass-produced and marketed? It gets everywhere, doesn't it? Doesn't it, Works? It gets everywhere. Good evening to... Is Stuplum around?
No.
Stuplum's not here. Oh, yeah,
not seen
Stuplum.
him
Yo,
yet.
peeps, there he is. He's in there.
Oh, is he?
He's in there. Stuplum is in the house too.
I missed that.
Good
There he
evening,
is.
good evening to you all. I hope you're all well and warm on this chilly Wednesday evening.
And just a small little note. Obviously, your background you may notice. Voyager had a birthday yesterday.
Happy birthday, Voyager.
Yeah, it is 29 years old.
Wow. Voyager turns 30.
Just doesn't see.
It's like you see
Voyager
those,
turns 30,
you see
yeah.
those like little meme things on like Facebook. It's like what 30-year-old sci-fi looks like in my brain, and you see like Battlestar Galactica, and then
Yeah.
Yeah.
what 30-year-old sci-fi looks like in real life, and you got like a picture of Voyager.
Yeah,
It's like, oh my god.
I still think of it as the new show, and yeah, it has been the new show for It went off in 2001, like.
Oh, fuck. It's terrible, isn't it? Yeah.
It is always it's always 10 years ago on my mind. Be like, oh, that came out the other day.
How can that be? How can it be? Yeah. Oh, well, happy birthday for Voyager yesterday. Yes. Right. So this evening, we are consigning to the Vault interface. It's episode 3 of season 7, production number 40277-255. It first aired in the US on the 4th of October, just after my birthday in 1993. It was
just before my 8th birthday.
Yes, smack bang between our birthdays.
Pretty much.
154th episode to be both produced and released. It was written by Joe Minosky, who we've talked about many times, his 14th of 16 episodes. One thing I noticed about Joe Minosky, looking into him about this episode, he wrote a lot of Voyager two-parters, like Year of Hell, part 1 and 2. Basically, you name a Voyager two-parter, and Joe Minosky wrote it.
Yeah, he has 36 Voyager credits. Futures End and Futures End Part 2.
Yeah.
Scorpion Part 2, Year of Hell. Yeah, the Year of Hells, the Killing Games. Any others? Yeah, Equinox.
It's quite a few, isn't it?
And Unimatrix Zero, the finale.
Yeah.
So, yeah, all of those. Yeah, fair point.
Yeah. It was directed by Robert Weimer. Is 6 of 8 episodes. So 2 more Wieners to go. TNG. Yes. So, onto the teaser.
Mad Brown, Mr. T.
Oh, Mr. T's off. Is off to bed.
Again.
Good night, sir. Feel free to have us on in the background. Apparently my voice is great to fall asleep to. I've put many a people to sleep in this show, so it's highly recommended. Yes.
Poor Lovely. He's been driving for hours in this slow, on a heavy vehicle, madness.
Oof.
That must be exhausting, just like being on edge the whole time, like in snow, with a massive vehicle. You must, yeah. Okay. I've got a picture. So, the teaser. The episode opens in the middle... Oh, sorry. Before I go into that, Maz, did you have anything about the writers or directors or anything that I didn't mention?
Just that they pitched this. I don't think you said this, did you? That they pitched it a while earlier, 2 seasons previously?
A couple of seasons ago, yeah.
Yeah, did you say that? Did you?
No, I didn't.
And it was going to... Oh, it was going to be Riker, who actually was wearing this suit, troubled by the death of his father, with scenes of Alaska and stuff like that. But Riker had gone through several similar sort of mind trips with, some of the other episodes. So, yeah, they decided to make it Geordi instead. And then they didn't develop it last season because they thought it was a bit too similar to Emissary. So then when they got to season 7, and frankly, a few of them, the writers have said that they were beginning to run out of ideas. So they'd already just explored the family of everyone else except for Geordi. So they were like, how can we bring Geordi's family into it? And then they revised this 2-year-old story idea. So that's kind of how it came to be.
Yeah, there we go. Thank you very much. Yes, I haven't seen it, but apparently someone's saying there's Mandalorians on the stream. Don't know where that came from. Has anybody seen Mandalorian around? Was that you, Sean?
I can neither confirm nor deny.
Okay, so the teaser opens. The episode opens in the middle of some sort of emergency. Geordi is climbing the Jeffries tube conduits, looking for some kind of fire. He starts to find a number of noxious gases and manages to detect exactly what they are, even without wearing his visor. Like he has some sort of superpowers. It's like, what the hell? We jumped in straight into the scene. No Starship Enterprise flying by with with captain's log or anything like that. We're just straight into the action here in a Jeffries tube, with Geordie being able to see. Very strange. So Geordie climbs through the deadly gases like an absolute Chad until he detects heat. So he calls through another Jeffries tube and finds a fire. He reckons the heat is over 2,000 degrees. Now, he's not particularly clear here over whether there's 2,000 degrees Celsius, Fahrenheit, or Kelvin, or some other kind of unit of measurement of heat.
Sorry, 2,000 Kelvin. I think 2,300 Kelvin is about 0, isn't it?
2,000...
like freezing?
2,000 Kelvin is about 1,780 degrees Celsius, I think, or something like that.
Is it? Okay.
Or is it the other way around? Or is it 2,300 and... There's like a couple of hundred degrees, isn't there?
Sorry, it's minus 273, so is 0 Kelvin. So, yeah, it'd be 1,700 or so.
Yes, 1,700.
On any scale, it's too hot for humans, anyway.
Yes, indeed. That's
might even melt steel beams.
Yeah, in whatever scale you want to choose, it's bloody warm.
It's hot.
Yeah. Anyway, he activates the fire suppression system, and the fire is put out. Confirmed, Geordie now has superpowers. Then we flick to the lab and we find the Doc, Data and Riker overseeing Geordie in some kind of VR machine called the interface unit. They are using Geordie's visor inputs to input probe sensors straight into his brain box.
I appreciate that photo there. Look at the pose on Data.
I know, like feet together, arms apart, just to get that perfect triangular kind of...
that hero broad shoulder pose.
Yeah. Whilst Riker with his bad back is sitting on anything he can find. Because that's sitting and leaning on anything, really. Yeah. So the probe Geordie then finds his foot doesn't work. So they have to increase the inputs to the sensors. And the more they increase the sensor inputs, the more strain it can put on Geordie's body. This whole sequence is really just to demonstrate how the probe inputs and Geordie, how that all works. As Geordie makes his way through the ship, he marvels his reflection in one of the panels, and we can see what the probe actually looks like. And that is the end of the teaser. No, stupid, the probe doesn't mount at 2,000 degrees, so that's pretty impressive.
No alert!
Siren.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, my bad. I was wondering why was everyone going boop, 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 boop. Question time!
Read alert! Read alert!
Alert.
So terrible.
This is a drill. No, this is a drill. Oh, no.
Okay, so the first question. Which of the gases did Geordie mention first? A. Ammonia. B. Fluorine. C. Potassium fluoride. D. Data for some reason. And the bonus question. In his virtual form, what normal part of his costume, sorry, his being Geordie's, is absent?
Ah. Oh.
Sorry. I'm just trying to type. Can't talk all over type.
Hey, did you notice I didn't actually say the chemicals that he detected, because I had a feeling that was going to become a question. So I purposely missed that there. Look, we're
You don't get a lot of options in the
each
teaser.
other.
You get very few options in the teaser. You have to pull a trick.
Has everybody got blood wine this evening? I've got some white
I
blood
have
wine.
blood plasma.
Blood plasma wine.
What's he called? A Mookie. What's he
Moopsie.
called?
And Moopsie.
Moopsie, look at him.
Moopsie.
Oh, he's so cute.
The bone sucking, most dangerous creature.
That's adorable. Love it. Anyway, so apparently the Ronald Moore was disappointed with the fact that the elaborate probe miniature was only seen once. The episode uses obviously LaForge in place of the probe, but they kind of took a while to design it. So it was a little bit disappointing. The director said it would have just been a bit weird to film the probe and then keep cutting to LaForge for reactions all the time. So that's why they kind of did it this way, because otherwise most of the episode would have been focused on that white thing.
They could have done it though, couldn't they? Where they have like Geordie walking down a corridor and have like the probe going down the corridor, and as the camera pans around, so it like becomes Geordie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Some clever like cinematography things like that. Like
They certainly could have.
He goes by a panel. He goes by like a wall panel and starts off Geordie and then comes out the probe. That sort of like cut thing.
Yeah. It would have been good if they mixed it up a bit more.
I think they just went, it'll cost too much. This is a great establishing shot. They obviously shot it twice with some sort of split screen with the model and then with Geordie, and they just used the back of the engineering set. But it's a good establishing shot, and it sets us up the premise. And once it's set up, you don't need to keep explaining it.
And Time Lord was saying, he was getting a bit confused with the whole Geordie's got arms, but this thing's got
tractor beams.
Tractor beams. It's got little silver things. I don't know that it's got any mechanical arms at all.
No.
But when Geordie was flipping those switches and stuff, you just think, really? Can you use a tractor beam to operate switches and buttons? And it just seems all a bit odd. It works some of the time in theory, but then in other times I'm like, that doesn't work in my head.
Yeah, it could just be a wireless interface, which you don't normally see in Trek. But I mean, they did exist. They did have Wi-Fi before Wi-Fi was invented. I mean, all the pads and stuff, they were all wireless in theory. I remember reading in the technical manual, and it blew my mind at the time that in theory, obviously ignoring that the screen is too small, you could use a pad to run anything on the ship. And thinking, well, that's so amazing. And then, we have these things now. You can remote control your PC from Shanghai.
Absolutely.
It's not so impressive anymore.
No. Especially when they had to turn the Enterprise schematic off, the lights off, so you can actually see the reflection. They must have done it and then you can actually see the reflection with the lights on. We have to turn it all off.
Well, I mean, the other problem is they're not supposed to be on the Enterprise. Oh, they are supposed to be on the Enterprise.
They are. They're just testing it here.
Yeah. Okay, I take that back. Yeah, okay, it could be. Yeah, it's the only way to make the shot work.
Another little bit is that the console which Riker was resting on when they were testing it in that sort of science lab is apparently, and I was trying to find some pictures to confirm this, but anyway, it was apparently the prop used as the Theta Band wave emitter in Chain of Command Part 1, and also Lore's console near the end of Descent Part 2.
It turns up in DS9 a few times. I think it's the Romulan one as well. Yeah, I think it's known as Memory Alpha has it down as the Bajoran console, I think. But yeah, it comes up a few times.
Right, okay. So yeah, a bit of reuse there. And a little sort of science-y thing is that obviously Geordie did mention several gases that were apparently being released, one of them being fluorine, and apparently fluorine gas is yellow and the fumes from the hatch were clearly white.
Yes. Wookiee's getting excited by the exposed midsection of the probe here, and its little green belly button. It's driving wild. It's driving wild.
That sort of filth on a family show.
Yeah, it's like Mirror Universe to Paul. It's just tasty.
Indeed.
Or Hoshi.
Could even get Data excited, that couldn't it?
All those exposed circuits.
There's this one photo I've been trying to find for months. It's a shot where Data has it's one of an older shot or concept where he's put his finger in the computer, and I'm like, oh, he's fondling the ship. What? And I have not been. I regret not downloading that photo immediately.
Yeah. Is it in a corridor somewhere he does it?
And it's like really dark.
It's really dark.
So it's like
outside of 10 forward for some reason, I think.
It's in an area where there's a lot of like equipment.
Oh, is it?
But it's not at a workstation.
Ah, right. Sean, answers to the question.
Yeah, so the first one was A, ammonia, and the other part was the visor. So I'm seeing a lot of A visors. That'll do us.
Oh. So we got...
all 6 of us for the wheel.
Is that including...
No points.
And Time Lord?
1, 2, yeah, Time Lord. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And Rookie is 7. Yep,
No points for this,
perfect.
but does anyone want to take a guess what visor is an acronym for?
Visual... No.
Alright. I had to look it up to be sure. Visual instrument and sensory organ replacement.
Ah,
Wow. Nice.
very good. Right, I'm spinning the wheel. Do 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 do. Ooh, yes. Wow, that's about the closest finish I think we've ever had.
Oh,
It doesn't get much closer than that, does it? Crikey.
I know. On the line.
Well done, Maz.
good job the computer tells us, because we wouldn't have been able to judge that by eye.
Oh, Time Lord's switched up his gaming background for his videos. He usually uses like Star Trek Online, like ships fighting in Star Trek Online, and sometimes like if he's talking about Romulans or something, he'll be playing some Romulan characters and be beaming down to like Romulan worlds and things. But he's going to switch up his background to a different game.
Nice.
I used to love Star Trek Online, I have to say. Used to love that game. Okay, at 1. It's just a time sapper, that's the problem.
Yeah, I played it for about 15 hours, and it's like, oh, when do I get to DS9? Another 30 hours, I'm done.
Oh, I played it for hundreds and hundreds. The Enterprise is responding to a distress call from the USS Raman that's become trapped in a bowl. Where's my... Oh, it's become trapped in an atmosphere of a gas giant.
This is how it looks from the outside.
Ramen. It's the best joke. It's the best joke of the entire show, that one. So I hope you enjoyed it. That's it. I'm done.
Did you actually have that there for the visual joke, Sean, or do you just always have ramen noodles on your desk?
I just haven't put them away. They're just sitting there from when I went shopping yesterday.
He's in his kitchen, so
Brilliant.
he just has his shopping around him.
My counter, my kitchen table and my computer desk are kind of in an L. I'm sitting in what is my kitchen. So yeah.
It's great when he needs another beer. He just leans to the side and.
Yeah, just
the
to my
fridge.
right, barely out of reach behind the green screen is the fridge. Yeah.
Okay, Data gives a briefing on how the Raman's mission was to enter the lower atmosphere, some 11,000 kilometers below its current position, sample the atmosphere, and then return. They can't determine whether anyone is alive, so they're going to send in the probe.
I see tired Time Lord is in outer space. He's got no reception.
Oh no.
Oh, that's no atmosphere. Feck's sake, sorry. Terrible. Please move on.
Shall I give you a tumbleweed moment there?
Do you hear about? Do you hear about that bar that's on the moon? It closed after a week. It had no atmosphere.
Yeah.
There we go.
There we go.
That's more what I meant to do. Yeah.
Admiral Holt of Deep Space 3 calls Picard, which he takes in his ready room. Holt talks some small talk about Ferengi bribing a Breen pilot to throw a race. Who cares? He then tells Picard some bad news. The USS Hera, under the command of Silva LaForge, Geordie's mum, was lost during a routine carrier mission operating out of his station. A massive search mounted by the USS Excelsior and the USS Noble has failed to discover any trace of the ship, so all hands are presumed lost. They'll keep looking, but it doesn't look like it's going to make any difference. Picard tells him he will inform Geordie. Oh gosh! I just realised Time Lord glitched out. He missed the best joke in the entire stream. It's a tragedy, isn't it?
Tragedy.
Yeah. There's a picture for you, just because it's got data in it. There you go.
Demon.
Picard heads down to the science lab and gives Geordie the bad news that his mother is lost. And that is the end of Act 1. Question time.
That's a very quick act.
Yeah, Act 5 goes, or 4, one of them goes on for absolutely ages.
I know, yeah.
Yeah.
Got halfway through Act 4 and I was still halfway through the show. I was like, geez.
And because when I'm going through the questions, I have to wait for the breaks to figure out where and sometimes I have to check it 3 times to see when I got to the actual end of the act. Anyway, which base was Admiral Holt based on? A, D Space 3, B, D Space 6, C, D Space 9, or D, D Space 12? And the bonus question, which ship, formerly captained by Sulu, did Admiral Holt say was searching for the Hera?
Yeah.
I was going to give the registry, but a load of people already got it, so I don't need to. If someone wants to tell me the registry.
It starts with NCC. Now.
It was a very futuristic registry. Sorry, Mazza, go ahead.
For the time.
Okie dokie. So this episode's script spelled the USS Noble as like Ellie at the end, whereas when it's seen on screen, I think,
it should be Nobel, not Noble.
It doesn't appear on screen here. Yeah, it should be Nobel. However, I always watch these episodes with subtitles on because it helps me with random spelling of made up stuff. And in fact, in the caption subtitles, it had Noble Ellie. I wonder whether they base the subtitles off the original script at all, because that still had the other spelling. This episode obviously finally introduces LaForge's previously spoken of family, and some stuff about Admiral Marcus Holt. So this is one more for Sean probably, but he plays Admiral Paris in 2 episodes of Voyager, right?
Yeah, he's replaced later on, but he's in
I was going to
2
say,
early
because
ones.
I'm looking at him thinking he doesn't look like Admiral Paris, and then I had a feeling that you had said that Admiral Paris is played by 2 people. You said that fairly recently, so I was like, oh, maybe that's why. Because he doesn't look like what I think of Admiral Paris.
No.
Like,
No, he's bald. The later Admiral Paris, I forget the name of the actor now. I keep wanting to say Richard Hurd, but that's not. Actually, could it be Richard Hurd? It could be. But anyway, they used it twice, but I didn't make that connection that he played the first Admiral Paris. Yeah, Richard Hurd played the second one. I don't know the name of that guy.
Yeah, he's called. I put he's played by question mark. I was going to fill it in later. I can tell you though because I've got IMDb up. It's actually funny on IMDb. His picture. Oh, he's called Warren Munson, but his picture kind of makes him look a bit like an elderly Klingon. He's just got these sort of big eyebrows and like little goatee beard that it just makes him look distinctly Klingon-esque.
So I say, good evening, Andrew. Andrew's joined us. It's always lovely to see Andrew. He likes my baseball cap.
Excitable.
Yeah.
I'm wondering what he's drinking.
It's courtesy of Sean. This baseball cap was. We're the baseball cap brothers. We are officially members of Deep Space Nine's baseball team.
Death to the opposition.
Yeah. The what is it called? Is it the DS Niners or something like that?
Just the Niners.
Just the
Niners.
Yeah, the Niners. Yeah.
San Francisco have a team called the 49ers, so it's
That's
kind of in
right,
reference to that. I think referencing, it might be the big earthquake, which is also referenced in Times Arrow, but let's not go to it that deep.
And yes, answers to the questions, Sean.
Sure thing. So, the first question was, of course, Deep Space 3, but got to throw in a Deep Space Nine reference. And the ship was the Excelsior. Nobody gave me the reg, but yeah, Excelsior will do you.
NCC it was 2000.
Yeah. I think it was NX, NX 2000
NX.
originally, but it changed to NCC. You're correct.
Yeah. Well, it was a prototype, and Time Lord points out that NCC stands for Naval Contract Code. It's what the USS military put on their frigates and things, isn't it? And it's just because Roddenberry was infusing, actual, because he was in the military, he was infusing military with actual, Star Trek. Yes. I always thought, actually, when it was a long time ago, I thought it was Naval Construction Class, but it's Naval Contract Code. But yeah. So, the wheel. Is that everybody again, I believe? Is it? Did anybody confirm? Is it everybody?
Just to answer Time Lord's question, Cassidy did give Cisco one, but I don't think it was the same one.
Did he?
I think when she gave him a baseball cap, it was her brother's team when she said that they were still
Baseball
playing
cap.
baseball. So I think that's the one that she gave him.
Yeah, no,
But
it was
then
like the
in
Cestus
a later
Pirates or
episode-
something.
Yeah, that's right. And then in a later episode, they had the actual DS19 one.
Yeah,
was
so
gonna
Cestus
say-
3 is the planet that her brother lives on, and it was the one that the Gorn destroyed in the original series. Yeah, so that's another deep dive.
I think Cassidy gave Cisco more than one.
Oh my!
Oh,
Do you know what I love about Deep Space Nine? All the way through the series, Avery always said how really important it was to show a strong male role model, to get over that trope of
yeah.
black guys not raising their kids, and then the final episode, just as he gets his missus pregnant, and then just disappears out into the wind. And yeah,
Sean,
it just
I'd never realised that.
just undid 7 years of work of building that up, and it's like, oh, you're pregnant, bye.
Shit.
Oh, so wrong.
Funny though.
Never realised that. Well, there you go. Did anybody manage to see if everybody answered the right questions? Is it everybody on the wheel?
Ooh, I think so. I know everybody got the first question right. I believe everybody got Excelsior.
Oh.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes.
Yeah, right. I'm
everybody.
spinning the wheel. Do 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 do. It's me.
Fix.
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 Fix. It's a total fix. I made it happen. To be fair, I didn't get any last week, so that's the first one I've gotten for a while. I think I still managed to win last week somehow. I don't know how. Even I didn't get any spins, but I'm taking it. I'm taking the win. Okay. Time Lord never thought of that either. No, I didn't think of that. After all the messaging and all the good work they did with Cisco, just to have ruined it on the last episode. Damn it! Oh well.
I think he was annoyed about it, but there was no other way to end the series, so it just happened. Whoops.
He never really left. He was there in spirit, sort of, in a non-corporeal way. Never mind. Anyway, in his quarters, Geordie's reviewing his recent communiques with his mum. Captain LaForge tells him that she's got a new chief engineer, and she's the best goddamn engineer in the fleet. Okay, maybe second best engineer in the fleet. I'll jump to it now, Maz. Do you want to tell us something about this lovely lady? I'm sure you've got something for this act, haven't you?
One or two things. So she had an uncredited role in Star Trek IV: The Voyage Home. She played an unnamed captain of the Saratoga.
Yeah.
So she's
Let's go on with more facts.
Yeah, so she played a captain twice, but she was the first female captain, or
first
certainly
female black captain.
Yeah. Because they keep saying Michael Burnham was the first female black captain. I was like, no, not by a long shot.
No, I hadn't actually picked up on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they keep advertising that. And it's like, no, not true. No disrespect to Sneakwood, but no.
She's also been in the
timeline, maybe, but not in viewage or when the shows were aired in movies.
Oh, wait, chronologically, yeah, I suppose that she will be the earliest.
And Tavykins mentions she was the Queen of Zamunda.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say. It's something I've watched a lot. She's in Coming to America. But sadly, at this point in production, she was suffering from leukemia. She was first diagnosed 10 years earlier. And at the time of this being produced, she'd already surpassed the doctor's expectations for how long she was going to survive, and actually lived for another just over 2 years after this show and died at the age of 57. But she's just stunning. I mean, look at those cheekbones. Just, beautiful lady.
And she also starred as a member of LeVar Burton's family in Roots.
Yes, along with his dad later. They were all in it.
They were all in Roots together, which is quite poetic, I guess. So, yes. There we go. Thought as we got her up on the screen, we'll cover those things off. Riker enters to check that Geordie's okay, and he wants to talk to him about performing the tasks in the mission ahead. Basically, Riker wants to take it over, so Geordie has some time to himself. But Geordie's like, forget that, man. The Hara is only lost. They're not all dead. We should proceed as planned. He's determined to take it forward. So the mission starts. Come on, picture. Where are you? And they ramp up the signal to Geordie so that he can see through the probe's eyes. And the doc's concerned because his pulse has gone up, but Geordie thinks it's all right. It's just like being on a first date. How does Geordie know what that's like? Has he had a successful first date at this point? No jokes, of course he has. Geordie detects atmospheric gases whilst walking in the corridor, and he finds someone trapped under some conduit. He moves it out the way using tractor beams, but alas, the person is dead. He probably should have scanned the person first before going to the hassle of moving all the debris,
Yeah, I mean, in the next scene, when he looks through, he touches one and then he goes, they're all dead.
They're all dead.
So clearly, so he didn't touch them all, so he could just scan. But
I don't know if anybody knows, is this like where this corridor set come from? Because it looks like an Enterprise corridor, almost.
Yeah.
But it looks slightly too big. And there's other corridors coming off it that don't look like any of the Enterprise corridor sets that I know. So there's nothing on like science
Exastrosciencia.
Yeah, Exastrosciencia about any of these episodes in season 7. So I can't. So if anybody knows anything about this corridor set, I would be curious to know where it came from.
The sets in this, I mean, you can see it's got that tank tread stuff that you don't normally see in TNG. You see it in DS9, you see it in Voyager. It's never been identified what it is, believe it or not, even though it's so ubiquitous. I just call it tank treads because that's kind of what it looks like. To make it look a bit different. And I suppose it could be a redress of just the normal corridor. The back wall is maybe changed.
I don't think it is.
The lights. They changed the lighting. It's hard to tell.
It's difficult to tell.
I really can't. But certainly They made a bit of an effort to make the ship look a bit different.
Yeah.
If it's a redress, it's a really good one because I wasn't able to place it just like you.
No,
at the
I
same
couldn't
pod.
place it. I couldn't place it.
Mm.
So he finds a door to a magnetic storage bay, which is a likely safe haven for the crew, and he blows it open with phaser beam straight out of his hands. He really is going for all like the superhero tropes now, with laser beams coming out of his hands, and next he'll be blowing ice into like something or something like that. Anyway, inside he finds the crew, but they're dead, Dave. They're all dead. Even
Yeah,
this
because
one.
there's no double corridor like that with the width. You can't do that in the existing sets. So unless they literally disassembled and reassembled.
Well,
them
not
somewhere
only
else and
that,
widened
you can't quite see it, but the corridor goes out to the left here, and goes down another corridor right next to it, like it's a fork. I mean, there's nothing like that in this, so I don't know where it is.
They couldn't have spent that much money. Maybe they had it left over from Star Trek V or something. They had some extra corridors, but I think they just
Or
used the TNG
I was wondering,
ones.
maybe like from like the Deep Space Nine, like emissary, maybe like in that scene they built an extra corridor set or something. I don't know.
I don't remember. I mean, even the bridge they used was the standard bridge, mostly the Saratoga. There's
Yeah.
a bit of a story behind the way they had to put that together and pull pieces out of storage to try and make it look right. It's very thrown together. So I don't think they spend the money on it. So yeah, I just don't know. It's a bit of a mystery to me, but certainly there's exist. I think they maybe just disassemble their own sets and reassemble them again.
Yeah. Even this lady here, she just died that second.
Still breathing.
Yes, well, it's weird. It's quite funny. I noticed this. I watched it over and over. I tried to find a clip because I just wanted to show you because it's hilarious. But as we pan back, as Geordie walks through the room, this barrel moves into position and she lies down on it. as we walk by, because I think what happened was the cameraman's walking backwards, and he would have walked through where this barrel is.
Yes.
So what they did is they had the barrel off to one side, and then as the cameraman walked past the barrel, they quickly moved it into position, and she lied down. But unfortunately, she did it all on camera. Which is a little unfortunate.
Yeah, I had a different theory as to why it happened, but yours is equally plausible. I figured because she was sort of resting on a barrel, I thought that it slipped out from under her because it's round, and then she quickly grabbed it and pulled it back under her. So that's what I thought might have happened. But,
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, bit of a faux pas.
Yeah.
I'm going to make up a headcanon that the atmospheric pressure was different inside and outside the room, and when they opened the doors, the air rushed out, blown out, and that caused the barrel to move and correct itself.
Well, yeah, but it might have fallen out from under her, but it wouldn't have gone back up under her.
Did anyone see during the summer there? Do you remember when it was warm? There was a cosplay where someone dressed up as the barrel that broke Worf's back. It was fantastic.
Oh, brilliant.
It was a woman because she was slim enough and she could just kind of duck down and be the barrel and then get back up again. It was good.
Great. Okay, so a fire breaks out and in the storage area, and it burns Geordie's hands. And then we flick back to the science lab and we find that the interface has faithfully recreated the burn effects on Geordie's hands IRL. And that is the end of Act 2 and question time.
All right, Act 2. So,
Act 2.
okay, sorry, I think I'm after taking this from the wrong act. I just realised, so apologies. Anyway, hopefully you get it. How many hours did Geordie say it would take to recalibrate the interface?
Ooh.
A9, B10, C11, or D47? Sorry, that was meant to be from the next act. I mucked up. And the bonus question is, when Geordie went to lift a beam, what tech did Geordie say they actually used to move it? So he obviously didn't use his hands. How was it moved?
Right.
Oh dear. It's gonna be a guess.
Well, I've got to guess the first one, but I'm going to do a traditional
Yeah.
Tavi and say that. If in doubt,
I believe.
go with C. Oh,
I was just gonna say, I think they did a figure of Geordie in this style. I think it's out there. I don't know. Monty has it, but I believe there is one for him from this episode.
I don't know. I have my bag of figures here.
Yeah.
I might be able to... to be honest, I do recognise it. So that's why I thought I'd have a look. No, I can't see it. I might have it somewhere. There's not every figure I've got in here. But, yeah. No, can't see it. I have just ripped my bag though, so now I've got figures spilling out all over my floor.
Oh, sorry about that. Better get him before Chewie gets him.
Okay, I need a new bag. We lost Maz. We don't know what's happened to Maz. That question was too hard for Maz, and it's she's blown a fuse. So the trivia for the... Luckily, we went through the trivia mostly during the act, didn't we? With the bloopers and the
Yeah, we did, but
The
she
cast
can always
members.
add it into the next act if we missed anything, so there's no harm. I'm sure she'll be... Oh, Mazza just put, my StreamYard is paused, is it just me?
It's just you, Maz. Yeah,
Pewter
unfortunately.
crashed trying to rejoin. Okay, she knows. Well, I mean, by the time we get to the end of the next act, she should be back with us.
Okay, well, we'll just give this... We'll just give this time over to Tavikins.
My Tavona.
The only thing I have going on is diverted chat, ongoing in the Coming to America line because of Jordy's mom and
Come to America.
Yeah.
the entire time Lord we're talking about our phrases, and I remember this time where we had a homecoming event. So homecoming king and queen are supposed to be nominated. And we have this big pep rally before the major football game, just like in the movies. But the different nominees come out and they're wearing their suit and they're just looking, as handsome as they possibly can.
Monty, let Mazza back in.
I know she's backstage. She's backstage.
Yeah, go on, Tommy.
I can see her. I can see her waving her little arms are waving away. She just wants to get back in. Look. Shall I let her back in?
So,
oh yeah. Well.
This one guy, he's known for being like the school pretty boy, but he comes out in this big old mafia Russian floor-length like fur coat. It was an impressive first coat. I'm like, shit, that is looking nice. And everyone like hushed when they saw him walking out because it's like, man, he is looking smooth. And then in the silence of everyone just oohing and ahhing and turning at this guy, someone screams, "What is that, velvet?" And everyone starts dying. Completely stole his wind, knocked the wind out of his sails.
Oh.
But you did laugh it off, but the entire stadium went wild when they heard that.
Yeah, I used to have a Captain Jack coat, Captain Jack Harkness coat, as seen in Torchwood, and the exact same one, and I left it on the back of a chair, and someone robbed it, and I was disgusted.
That's such a good coat he wears in that show.
But I like the original military surplus one.
That's such a good
not
coat.
not a cosplay, the actual RAF coat, and someone just lifted it. And the thing weighs about a stone. Do you know those old wool blankets? It's a blanket in the form of a coat. It weighs like 5 kilos. It's really heavy. Like I'm talking a big Russian military, like in a war film with the fluffy hat shooting at Rambo coat. And someone just lifted it and it was gone, and I was disgusted. I lived in a small town, Waterford, small enough, and I never saw anyone wearing it or something. I was like, what happened to it? I was like, they're not wearing it around. Anyway, that was annoying.
It's a good job
And
you
that's-
guys filled, because I really didn't have very much more to add, actually, other than one thing, which was, as we were saying earlier, with the whole probe Geordie thing. Of course, the funny thing is, although he's supposed to be a probe and we're visualizing him as a human, he's casting the shadow of a human. Never mind.
Never mind.
Okay. Well,
it's
I'll-
true.
I'll
I mean,
give
he's
the,
supposed to be a little like metal probe, hanging through the corridor, hovering through the corridor, and you can see where his feet are walking, his shadows. You know. So,
Yeah.
I didn't really
count,
think that through.
you need to count the shadows just to make sure
Okay.
you're not being tracked
Stop.
by the
Stop
by the
stirring.
Vashta because those Vashta Narada are deadly. You want to stay away
Yeah.
from them.
Stay away.
That's not a reference to anything. Right, so the answers, do we have answers from everybody? Yeah, pretty much everybody
Yes.
got it, yeah.
I think everybody got tractor beam. I was the only one that didn't say C.
It was B, it was 10 hours, but sorry, I did put the wrong question from the wrong act in, so I do apologize.
It was B.
Apologize. Yeah, 10 hours.
Everybody said C except I said B.
I don't know why everyone else got it wrong, but it
I
was
didn't
10
know the
hours.
answer, so I just
Right.
guessed a C.
Holy
If in
cow.
doubt, say C. That was the.
Oh my goodness
my general
gracious
guess.
me.
Wow.
I just assumed at least one of those 5 people knew it for sure.
And
Oh, there you go.
tractor beam, tractor beam,
I mean,
tractor beam. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes, so we got everybody on the wheel, spinning the wheel.
everybody.
Do 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 do. Oh no!
Yeah.
Everybody loses 10 points.
Everybody loses.
Oh.
Luckily, we were all on
Lucky
it. We
you
were
got
all on
all
it.
6
So
of us in one go.
we were all on
That's
it.
probably
So
your
yes,
most
you know.
powerful, I don't know what you want to call it.
Yeah, that's
But,
the most points
that's probably
Wookiee's
the
ever
most points
taken
we've
away
ever lost.
from us all. Yes. Well done, Wookiee.
It
Yeah.
was a relief, very relieving that this scene didn't have Crusher saying that because it was so real in his mind, it manifested in real life. I was like, because if they'd have said that, I'd been like, oh my God, next scene, please. There's a lot of I guess, medical babble in this one.
Yeah.
But at least I was so happy. I was like,
feedback
yeah.
loop of his neuro.
Yeah.
But at
Yeah,
least-
just
yeah.
for tired Time Lord's sake, just let you know, Wookiee doesn't play the quiz, so he's always on the wheel. If we land on a Wookiee, whoever's on the wheel loses points. So it's the Wookiee wild card. Yeah.
But you washed
So
your
if you're
face.
like the only person who got the bonus question right, and it's just you and Wookiee on the wheel, you're like, oh no, I'm gonna lose points.
Yes. Yep. Okay.
Act
Act 3.
to the game.
Tavi loves it when Wookiee's name comes up on the wheel. It's her favourite point of the day.
I do. Just the sadistic joy. The pain.
Okay, so after some analysis, Dr. Crusher reports that it's possible Geordie's connection to the interface was so strong that it caused a feedback loop, as we were just discussing. Crusher treats Geordie's wounds, and he's going to be okay. He's going to be just fine. I can hear Chewie's just batting his trough around the kitchen because he wants more food because he's on a diet and he's not having more food.
Oh.
This is the way.
Ah! So it shouldn't be Wookiee next year. It should be Baby Yoda, shouldn't it, really?
I can do that.
Geordie still wants to continue with the mission as it's of utmost importance, and they want to retrieve the data that the Ramon's crew gave their life to obtain.
I always thought that was a very weird concept they had in Star Trek, where people would die, and instead of them like going, "Oh, that's really sad," we'll have to contact their families, or any sort of remorse for losing fellow Starfleet members. It's we'll need to get the research that they died for. It was worth their lives, so it's like the most valuable thing ever. Oh, baby.
Yay! Geordie still wants to continue with the mission, as is at most. Oh, I just said that. Next picture. Riker reports that to get the probe into position is going to take a couple of hours, so that gives Geordie time to go and talk to his dad. Or was it 10 hours? His dad tells him the main service will be on Vulcan, as that was where most of the crew was from, but his mother's funeral ceremony is going to be a private affair. Geordie's like, hold up, wait a minute. They're only missing. They're not dead yet, but they might still turn up. But his dad tells him that the search is just a formality now. If they had survived, they would have turned up.
Yeah, that would have been an award-winning vegetable. A turnip for the books.
A turnip, yeah. But Geordie visits Data, who's staring at a blank monitor. Apparently, he's watching some poetry, and the emptiness has poetic meaning, so cannot be considered emptiness itself. At least that's what the ancient Dozodarians believed. Dozodarians? I think that's right. Is that poetry worse than Vogon poetry? I'm not sure.
I was about to make the same joke. Well done.
Yeah. Their poetry contains such lacunae, or empty space, sometimes days in length, where the audience are encouraged to explore the emptiness of the experience. Data asks Geordie to join him. Data asks him if he wishes to talk about his mother, as he surmises that he passed by to be comforted. Geordie's like, no, sometimes passing by is just passing by. So he joins Data to share in his lacunae. After some time, Geordie admits that maybe it wasn't Dusty who was just passing by. Maybe Data had given up too easily. And then he asks Data if he thinks he's crazy to think that his mum is still alive. Data points out that in such cases as the Hara, the chances of them being found alive are very, very small. Geordie's like some help. Geordie's like some help. Some help you are. He kind of like, disses Data for, not being immediately comforting, but then immediately apologizes for berating Data. But Data understands. He's not offended, given the fact that he nearly tortured him to death just 2 episodes ago. So they get back to work with Geordie in the interface and the established connection with the probe. He investigates the auxiliary control room and for some reason finds his mother. Dun, 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 dun. End of act. Question time.
A good old Freudian slip is when you say one thing and you mean your mother. What are we on? I'm after making complete arse of this. This is the end of Act 3. This is the end of Act 3, yeah. Okay. So, excuse me, I copied it right. Sorry, I'm having a brain fart here.
That's okay. Take a moment, Sean. We've got plenty of time. We've got all night.
All the costume changes are making a shite of it. Okay, so what is the name of Geordie's sister? A. Sydney, B. Ariana, C. Silva, D. Alandra, rather. And the bonus question: how long was the lacuna of the poem Data was enjoying? What period of time?
Lacuna Tada, such a wonderful.
There's someone on Facebook that's reviewing this episode, and they usually have very short reviews. But when they've spliced in the edit, with their comic bits and everything, they just have the bit where Data is looking at the screen for at least 10-15 minutes, just going back and forth of him actually studying the play and sitting there like he's there in that 45 minutes. And they've got the engine music in the background, so it actually sounds like you're there in silence, going, just enjoying his poem. Whew, Jesus Christ, and his hair is long. I don't think it's supposed to be hitting the collar in the back.
There was a court case a number of years ago, because I went down a rabbit hole once, and there was a song called 7 Minutes of Silence or something like that. And it was released on an album, which is exactly what it sounds like. But there was a previous work called 433, which was basically the same thing. It was just a silent track with no sound. And like one tried to sue the other over who had the rights to the music of a track that was silent. I don't know how it ended, but it was kind of ludicrous, you know. Just.
Sorry, what was the bonus question?
Chief Sean, you haven't posted the bonus question.
Oh, sorry, I thought I had. Excuse me, I'll copy it again. How long was the lacuna on the poem Data was enjoying? So, what period of time was the silence?
Yeah, you told us it just wasn't posted in words.
Oh, I did post it. I don't know why you didn't see it, because it's posted twice for me.
Double check.
Anyway,
I'm on all messages.
Doesn't matter. Anyway, it's there.
Okay.
It's there either way.
Oh no, was it 47 minutes?
I don't see it. Oh, I don't know. Well, we've got that wrong then, Tabbykins.
Yep. Oh well.
It's a 47 reference, baby.
It was a 47, yeah. I thought that was a gimme. I thought everyone get it. Never mind. It could be a tactical Wookiee.
It could be a tactical Wookiee time.
Yeah, where you deliberately miss answers to stay off the wheel.
I don't really have hardly any trivia for this bit, because we already talked about the fact that they were all in roots. The only other thing is that Ben Vereen, who plays Levi Burton's dad, was only actually 10 years older than him. He obviously looks a lot older than him. I don't know if they sort of gave him a little bit of grey or something, but the age difference between them actually isn't that big. I picked up on another 47 reference, or a sort of inverse 47 reference. The input levels were at 53% tolerance. The inverse of 53 is 47.
Yes. Also, goodbye, Time Lord. If you're, he's finished in the waiting room and he's got an appointment, and then he's walking home. So if you're gone, hope the appointment went well, and have a lovely walk home.
Yeah.
So, what is the answer to the question then, Sean? I think it might be a good time for Monty, Roof, and Stuplum here. I don't know.
B was yes, Ariana. And does anyone want to tell me what Sydney, Silva, and Alandra have in common? Anyone want to take a guess?
Wasn't it Sydney?
Silva is his mom.
Sydney, Silva. Yeah, Silva is his mom.
Yeah.
And Sydney, you mentioned who, Sydney?
Is that her daughter?
I don't know. I thought it was Sydney, so I got it wrong.
Sydney and Alandra are his daughters.
God
Silva
damn
is
it.
his mother.
Oh,
and Arianda
yes,
is his
that's
sister. So they're all LaForges, but I was only wanting one. That was the connection in that question.
Oh.
And it was a 47.
It's a right scattergun of points today, isn't it?
The rainbow connection.
Yeah, I'm sorry if I knocked one or two of you off with that question, but I thought it was nice to put all the female LaForges together.
Why are there so many songs about rainbows? And what's on the other side? Right, spinning the wheel.
I hope Tiny Tim is better.
Oh,
Stu.
I didn't take the people off.
Oh, yeah, you did.
Oh, is that a bum deal?
Stu was still one of the ones that got it right, so...
Yeah, I think it'd be...
Just
I think
give
it'd
it
be
a
mean to take
Stu.
it off him.
We'll give it a
It just
Stu.
meant you guys got away with not having a higher chance of a Wookiee.
Ah, what
Yeah,
a shame. What a shame, what a shame.
So by my reckoning, it was only Tavi and Ruth that got that last question correct. So that's great. So now, Tavi and Ruth are now in equal first position.
Yay.
Ruth!
I'm only 10 points behind because I'm the only one that got the last question correct. But Yeah. So, it's close at the top, and then there's 3 other people a little
And
bit
then
further
there's
behind.
us, Stu. And then there's us.
Yeah, and then we've got 60, 60, and 30 for Stupler, Monty, and Time Lord.
Okay, we're on to Act 4. Geordie's like, is it you? I know I don't look like myself as I'm a floating robot, but is it really you? Geordie's mum's like, yes, Geordie, it's really me. Mum, I'm real. Yes, we believe her. She tells him, you have to bring the ship down to the surface because we are dying. Dr. Crusher, watching Geordie muttering away to himself, thinks bugger this and starts to disconnect him from the machine. All the while, Geordie's mum's pleading for his help. Geordie grabs her shoulder and is shocked so hard that it knocks him out IRL. There he is, knocked out. It didn't cause him any long-term damage, but Dr. Crusher wouldn't want it to happen to him again. Data studied the sensor logs, and the probe didn't pick up any human presence. Geordie claims that it was some kind of transmission. Data points out that he didn't pick up any transmissions either. Geordie impresses on them that the Hara is down there and his mum needs their help. Picard points out that the Hara's last position was light years away and adds that the pressure at the surface would crush the Hara instantly. Geordie pleads that he should at least be allowed one more mission with the probe to check it out, but the doc won't allow it and Captain Picard agrees, it being too risky for Geordie's life. Picard asks Data to find another way to rescue the Raman, and orders Geordie to go talk to Councillor Troy. Hey, Smiler Rainbow. Hey, Smiler's been taxi in the Monty van for our
I just
boy.
realised I said welcome Smiler to the chat, but I was on mute about 5 minutes ago. Sorry.
Welcome. Yes. It's always lovely to see my Smiler Rainbow. Troy's like, tell me about your mother. It made me laugh. She didn't actually say it like that. She didn't use the accent and whatnot, but we got the gist. Jodie tells her that she was brilliant, funny, perceptive, and a good judge of character. He's been too busy recently to visit, but he always thought he would have had more opportunities. Troy's like, have you ever tried plexing?
Tapping your 4 problems away.
She's doing the Alumox there.
Yeah.
No females.
I just always imagined that since she had success with like plexing with Barclay, that now every time someone comes to her with some serious troubles, she just goes, plexing?
It's actually a placebo, but I'm always
Have you tried?
Dirty.
Have you tried not being such a whiny bitch?
Yeah.
Also, I noticed the chair she's using was previously using the runabout there in.
No, that was a
episode.
picture from that scene in the runabout. I just
sorry. Yes.
I slapped that in there as a joke. This is the second best
caught
joke I put in for the stream. So if you missed this one, you've missed my only 2 jokes.
You made the ramen joke.
Yeah, that was the best joke. This is
Ramen damn near killed him.
This is the second best joke. But yeah, if you missed the ramen joke earlier, Christ, you missed one of the best moments in TNG review history, I think. Anyway, yeah. So no, she didn't actually suggest plexing. That was just me messing about. She actually tells him that as he considered that his guilt for not visiting his mum has manifested itself in this physical image, but Geordie rejects it. He knows what he saw. Later, in the observation lounge, the boys are discussing Data's plan of using a shuttle and tractor beam to bring up the ramen. Picard asks Geordie his opinion, and he agrees it's a good idea, but is concerned that it doesn't take into account the whole Hara situation. It will leave them down there to die. Yes.
Leave them down there to die. Maybe you can go down to them tomorrow. Sorry, that was supposed to be Australian. That was awful.
That was Australian.
We'll go with that.
Wow. That's... Can you do it again?
You can only do that joke if you're going to do it as a Brummie accent. Like the elephant that goes to the graveyard in Africa, and this big elephant stands over him and says, "Did you come here to die?" And he says, "No, I came here yesterday."
There we go. Thank you.
Yeah. Very good. Yes, they're trying to bring up the ramen. I usually find sushi's good for that.
You could take the pasta out of the water.
I find a good chili con carne with some black beans.
Yeah. So they're talking about trying to, get the ship up so they can rescue the Data, and Geordie's still obsessing about the Hara. The G-Dog here has a new theory. The Hara's got a whizzy new chief engineer who probably did something wacky with the warp core using tritonic initiators, which could have caused a subspace funnel that sucked them from wherever they were 300 light years away and deposited them on Margarine 7. I don't know what the planet was actually called, but Margarine
something like that.
is as close as I can get.
Yeah.
And somehow this whole process protected them from the crushing pressures and made his mum appear to him whilst he was a robotic probe. Because, yes, okay. Is any of that possible, Data? Data's like, yes, it's possible. It's unlikely. In fact, it's so unlikely, it's near impossible.
Well, I would compare it to the chocolate teapot theory. That in theory, there could be a chocolate teapot that is in orbit of the sun at exactly the distance where it won't melt. But we can't say for certain there isn't. But it's probably not there. The odds of it being there are so small that it's not there. But we can never say for certain.
No.
I do like that for a tiny moment he does entertain the idea that this could be happening, because they come into contact with so much weird, unexplainable shit that it could be possible that a ship has disappeared and blooped somewhere else. And then at the same time, Geordie's like, I was phased out of reality and walking through the ship. Stuff can just bloop.
It'd be silly if they made up something silly like some sort of mushroom drive that just appeared. That would be ridiculous.
Yeah, mushrooms can make them just appear wherever they want in the whole universe. So
it's mycelial spores. It's not the same thing. The mushrooms are the reproductive organs of this mycelial network. If it were to reach the perfect conditions for expanding itself.
And Wookie in the chat asks, does Beta Z have really low educational values and standards, or is Troy just an exception? Troy is a Nepo baby. She was born into royalty. She's like a duchess or something, or the daughter of a duchess. She had life on Easy Street. She was just born into good things. So, yeah.
And if she wanted to get a free ride, all she had to do was go to Starfleet and listen to everyone's thoughts under the exam.
And she'd half the battle won because she didn't have to actually really understand people. She could just read them. And the other thing is, she crashed 2 Enterprises. Nobody else did that. Didn't get kicked out after the first one. That's just ridiculous.
No. That hasn't happened yet, though, it has to be said.
True.
Yeah. The whole mind reading thing wouldn't have worked for me because I went test over comp. So even if I could have read all the minds
You're surrounded by a
all
bunch
the
of
students
dunces.
in my cohort, it wouldn't have done me any good. To be fair.
Captain, I'm sensing he's angry. No shit, Sherlock.
Okay. Oh, I wanted to go back to a picture. I've just remembered, and I want to talk about it before I forget.
Of Data,
No.
his lip, his eyes.
There you go. I've been watching Target Audience go through Star Trek The Next Generation from scratch. They just finished the first season. And one of the things they pointed out, and they point out in every episode, like when someone comes into a room through a door like that, there's always someone walking along in the background. Like to make the ship look like busy. You know, whenever you have someone walking through a door.
Ensign Russell back there.
It could be, yeah, it could be. But you always get an ensign or someone walking about doing their business, like whenever you get someone coming in a door. And I just saw that, and it just made me laugh because the Target Audience people were going like, "Oh, where's the person walking by? Oh, there he is!" Because there's always someone walking by. Yeah.
And the party hat on the table.
The party hat, yeah.
I didn't even notice any of this when I was watching it.
So,
although I like the insert that you can see on the monitor that maybe that's only from the remaster, but you can see the image inlaid of the log they're reading. So that's nice detail.
Anyway, that person walking by did make me laugh. So Picard tells them that they'll go with Data's plan, and despite Geordie's continuing pleads, refuses to allow Geordie to pursue his theory. Yeah. Doesn't want to risk his engineer's life. In engineering, Riker visits Geordie and tries to explain why he won't allow him to risk his life by telling him a story about how when he was little he used to pretend his mum was alive until he told the lie so much he eventually believed it to be true, and was eventually really upset when he finally remembered she was dead. And
I love the way he just sits his arse on the engineering console.
He just
worry about
plonks
ejecting the warp core.
his arse
Fine.
right where Geordie's working and pushing buttons. Yeah,
just having an ass dial. Yeah, no problem.
I'd be
You have
like
to lean on everything.
Yeah, he's got to lean on everything. But he always sits on consoles as well. If my boss came and sat like on my keyboard at work, like stuck his asshole right on my keyboard, I'd be like,
The actual hole.
dude, don't do that.
I find it infuriating that everyone's first response to Geordie's dilemma here and maybe distress is to tell him that he's wrong, he's a freaking idiot. And I was like, that's not what you tell to people who are in a delusion. It's not going to make them come out of it. They'll dig their heels in more, or they'll have a break and have to deal with it at some extremely inappropriate time. So it's like, Dana, why are you spending the appointment telling him it's not real, it's all in your head? You should be helping him with like, or at least figuring out how he feels. And not
also Riker here is like, when I was just like you, when I was an 8-year-old baby, and and my mum actually died. It's
not as relatable as
No.
Your mum's been missing for 10 days.
No.
Therefore, you're as delusional as I was, making up stories as a child.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Geordie's like, bro, your mum was dead, bruh. You had the body, the funeral, the works.
And I'm like, plenty of ships have gone missing for more than 10 days.
Yeah.
Voyager. And they weren't burying them after 10 days of them going missing.
Enterprise.
Well, no, it was a year. But the Discovery obviously has the record because it went for 800 years.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Enterprise C disappeared, came back. Bozeman.
The Bozeman, 100 years. Enterprise C, 100 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
Defined 100 years backwards into another universe. original-
disappear
Remember
and
what a
pop
Scotty's
back
ship
in.
was.
Yeah, Scottish ships on a Dyson sphere.
The Janolan.
That's the
Janolan
one.
went missing for 60 or 80 years, something like that.
Right. Yeah, they come back eventually.
Space is huge, so it happens.
And
The
they
thing
had no
about
other
space is it's
options.
big.
Like maybe they were abducted. You know, maybe they lost some sort of fight and they got towed off. Anything other than stuff just disappears in space without a
Maybe
trace.
Q just sent them somewhere. I mean, for God's
I
sake,
know.
there's so many.
The Traveller popped along and zapped it to some other universe or something. Or, yeah, I don't know.
It's like
Wormhole,
completely unfeasible for
tachyon, time dilations,
Yeah,
you name it.
you name it.
no, they're dead.
Anyway, yes. He's like, you had a body, a funeral, everything, bruh. But if I had those things, I'd believe it too. But I don't. Until that day happens, I won't quit. So with that, he goes back to the interface, plugs himself back in to the probe, and this time without oversight of the dock and data combo. That is until one half of that combo, data, arrives. He must have guessed Geordie would have tried something like this, or the computer. He got the computer to tell him that if Geordie entered the science lab to inform him, but either way, data arrived just in time, and he tells Geordie that he will not allow him to endanger his well-being. Geordie tells him that he can't leave not knowing. That would damage his well-being. He must try, so Data decides that he will help, and saying that he can't confine him to quarters for something he hasn't done yet. But he does ask Geordie to please consider that what he is seeing isn't real. And Geordie agrees, Pinky promises. And that is the end of Act 4. Question time.
4 to the floor. Yeah, I'm a bit predictable in this case, because I've done this twice, and you obviously picked it up the first time, Monty. Which of these character traits did Geordie say first about his mother, excuse me? A, incredibly perceptive. B, knows people. C, brilliant. D, funny. E, real good judge of character. And the bonus question.
Yikes.
What action did Geordie make to cause the neural overload? What did he do to that immediately caused it to spike?
What action did Geordie make that causes neural...
I'll give you a clue. It wasn't thinking about Data's dong, but that was a close second. Because let's be honest, we all go there for the Jewish goodness.
So good.
So the planet.
It can't... Sorry, go on. Okay, I was just gonna say a stupid. It's just gonna say a stupid joke. It's like you know why they can't resist circumcised men. It's like because it's like 20% off.
Wow.
That's his hair looks so silky in this one.
Okay, cool. So the planet is described as a gas giant, and then they talk about the fact that the ship is on the surface of the planet.
How?
Can you see the floor there?
Oh yeah. It's like what is it, Neptune? You can just go straight through it all the way.
Yeah, gas
It gets
giants
close to a
don't have
surface.
surface.
Well, it has a liquid near the middle, but that's about it.
Oh, does it? Okay.
Well,
yeah,
I don't know that for a fact.
trivia
But
thing says, in theory, if you could overcome the immense gravitational pressure, you could pass straight through one, as there's no solid surface.
well, if you
It
compress
says
a
there's no
gas,
solid. It doesn't say there's no liquid, but yeah. I guess.
but if
There
you compress
are
a gas
actually-
enough, it becomes a liquid. So you would assume there's a liquid core, but I don't know.
There are actually layers in gas giants, in all of them. There are actually layers of liquid gases, like oceans of liquid gases that congregate in a layer, but then once it gets too hot, those liquids become gas. So they're like floating layers of
Sort of
like an onion.
like an onion of liquid.
Yeah, like an ogre of gases.
Interesting.
And at parts, is so dense that carbon crystallizes into diamonds. And
Diamonds, yeah.
And it rains diamond rain.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Mm.
Pretty.
That actually sounds like it hurts.
Yeah. It would hurt. Especially under the pressure that it... it would definitely hurt. Yeah.
I'm sure everybody will be so excited by this next piece of trivia, in that this episode marks the first appearance of Troy's new hairstyle, with softer waves and warmer copper tones. Obviously, she had a few changes of hairstyle early on, but she's got a new one that she's sporting. This is kind of her hair that I sort of envisage her with, when she's sort of more with Worf, I guess, because that's sort of like this sort of later season, isn't it? But yeah, it's got like it is softer.
Yeah,
it doesn't look so wig-like, to be honest.
No,
it's a
it
lot less
also
natural.
reminds me a little bit of what's her name in Deep Space Nine?
Dax in the early seasons.
Yeah, you know how Dax has that sort of like it tied back, but it Buffonti.
Yeah.
Like it's tied back.
Yeah, like
it's kind of
the
got
season
that
2
tied back,
one.
but Buffontiness, if you know what I mean.
Well, this was filmed around the same time as season 2, so it could have been very well the same hair artist
person
that did both wigs.
Well,
So,
yeah.
although Marina wore a wig, but I don't think Jazzy or Terry did. I think that was her hair. So, but as I said, it was the same people, so it's very possible it was the same artist.
Yeah. She normally wore it like this when she was sort of off duty, but this is kind of the first time that we're seeing this loosey-goosey look on duty, I guess. The only other thing I have for this act was a comment that I wasn't quite sure what it applied to, because it says the scene where Riker consoles LaForge on his loss. So originally I thought it might have been earlier, like in his quarters. And then I thought maybe it was the bit in engineering, but in neither of those scenes does Riker really actually console Geordi.
No, he doesn't, not at all.
But anyway, the trivia is that this, whichever scene they're talking about, was written by Jerry Taylor when it was discovered that the show was running short. And the scene was actually filmed after Phantasms, which is 3 episodes later. So it was really late in the kind of, editing and production cycle that they realized they had, like 30 seconds or a minute to fill. So I think it's probably this scene, in that the other one was really short anyway. So yeah.
Well, I did think
spliced in later.
I did think that because, it wasn't Riker's decision. So the fact that he came down here to apologize, not allowing Geordi to do it, but he was not a part of the decision process. It was all Picard. So after Picard going, no, Geordi, you're not doing it. And then Riker turns up in engineering and goes, I just want to explain why I made that decision. Well, you didn't. Picard just did. So
yeah, that's probably because she hadn't seen the episode because it wasn't out yet, and just kind of glanced at the script and got to have the wrong version, because there could be 7, 8, 9 version of the script, and she mightn't have the newest one. And look, it's easily done.
That's all I have for trips and goods.
Very much like they had to rewrite it many times.
Right.
Yeah, there was an easy way to rewrite it slightly differently to say I understand how you're feeling, but without saying you made the decision. It'd be simple.
But and I don't feel like what Riker did was console Geordi on his loss.
No.
It
what
was
that scene was supposed to be. It didn't come across that way.
I remember when I was a little lost boy like you. My mum died and I was lost and I made believe. It's like, fuck you, man.
Yeah.
Asshole. Yeah. Anyway, answers.
So 5 people have answered all C, and as I put it, touched his mummy, or we've got touched mum, touched his mother, touched his mother, touched
Yeah,
mum.
I didn't realize how awkward the answers would be when they came through, but didn't occur to me. But yeah, The first one was C, brilliant, yeah. Brilliant, easy peas. And then, yes, you're right. He made contact with the person purporting to be his mother.
So we don't need Time Lord, do we? Yeah.
Nope.
Time Lord is
Everything else
gone.
is good.
But everybody else is on, so we can spin it. Do 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 do. Oh my god. Oh my god.
Oh my god!
It's
Back to the wheel.
To be fair, I needed that because this was going badly for me today.
Oh.
I needed that boost.
Yeah, that does actually nudge you ahead of your tied position with Suplum. So
Woo! Sorry, Stupler. There's still the last question to go, though. It's still all to play for.
certainly, and all for finger points.
It's the final act. The final act.
You're so mature.
Okay, Act 5. Here we go. On the ramen, Geordie's mum instantly appears, as Geordie does. She explains how she isn't really here. Her ship was pulled into a warp funnel, you see. And Geordie's like, God damn it, I knew it.
We're pulled into a war funnel, you see?
Yeah,
It's part of the plan, nah.
yeah.
Yeah.
Data...
He needs some chapstick today. He needs some chapstick.
He does a bit, doesn't he?
Yeah, you need to wet those lips of his.
Mm-hmm. Don't start
I
nothing,
forgot to
Sean.
say though that I love the fact that Data has forsaken his duty to support his friend. Like, how sweet is that? It's just adorable.
It's
I love it, but I'm also thinking with Jordy, dude, you stuck things in my head. And when you were in the holodeck trying to play choke me out with a Borg hologram, I took the security setting off. You owe me a solid.
Yeah, it's true. He does owe him, doesn't he? Yeah, that's a good point. Data is picking up some weird subspace energy, but that corresponds with her explanation of how she's communicating with them using subspace energy. She wants Geordie's help. Geordie outlines his plan to lower the ramen and cause an inverse warp cascade, which will send her ship back to where it started. They start their descent, and Geordie is super happy. He is right about all the things that he was right about. He can't wait to tell his dad and the rest of the family. He then starts losing contact with the probe as they descend deeper into the atmosphere of the gas giant. Data has to turn up the inputs up to 10 and eventually agrees to do it incrementally. It's a bit like,
Should have went to a...
there's a whole analogy of like deep sea diving, you know, as they go down, it needs more pressure in the signal, and you can't just whack that pressure up because that's gonna like blow things in his brain. They got to do it bit by bit.
See, the mistake is they needed to have the scale up to 11, so just when you need it one louder, you can just go up one.
Mm-hmm. We're going there,
Just when you need
Sean.
that extra.
We're going there.
Oh, you had that in the... Sorry. Okay, go on.
I
On
wonder
the
what
bridge.
it's like for Levi to like act without his visor on. It must have been really liberating for him.
Yeah, well, he has such a...
Hallelujah.
Well, I mean,
Hallelujah.
I think they say you do about 30% of your you're communicating with your eyes. So I mean, yeah, you know, he had to overact and to compensate for the visor all the time. So it's probably a lot different not having to do that.
And the thing is, the boy's got such fantastic eyes. Such
He really does.
Yeah, those big brown eyes, you get lost in them. But the other thing said is people who go from theater to TV or to movies. You're in a theater, you're playing to people 100 feet away, you know, and they'll zoom the camera right in on your face, right in on your eyebrows, and watch every little furrow. So it's very hard to change from acting one to the other, from going overly expressive to like just going, the littlest furrow on your eyebrow is going to look massive when you're making these things. So but he does a great job of it. He's just a good actor.
Yeah.
And I imagine that like a lot of the people who, you know, like Worf and a lot of people who wear prosthetics, they probably had to get used to not being too overly expressive, because they've
Well,
got
they,
like a
they
thing
they
on
couldn't
their
move
face.
their eyebrows, so they could move their mouths. They can kind of
So it must
scorn
be
or
weird, like
smile,
adjusting.
but they can't furrow their brow and show they're distressed or squint their eyes down and show they're confused. They can't do that. So yeah, they have to work it about in other ways.
I
And
will
just
say,
imagine about her hair, like how fantastic
actually,
is that as well?
just before you move off that shot, you
Yeah.
can see Geordie. He's wide-eyed. He's looking. He's excited. He's playing, and then his mother, purported mother, is kind of leaning back, kind of looking, kind of almost suspicious, kind of trying to see. I mean, the whole scene is conveyed in there without any dialogue. They're completely belaying their emotions just in that one shot. That's what I'm talking about. It's great.
yeah. I didn't mention this earlier when they had this scene where Picard was like, permission denied. He actually threw a chair against the table in an observation lounge.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's
rag.
It was
yeah,
like,
and
ooh.
he's tilting his head and he's pursing his lips and he's pushing his shoulders back like a stroppy teenager. He's kind of he's really like
Doing a
pulling
Riker.
against the
Yeah.
like a dog pulling against the chain. He's really but he's emoting it. With his eyes, he'd emote it more, but he's working really well at it.
But not only that, Picard, like you see, he's got his hands really clenched.
Yeah, he has a stiff, in command energy about him. Yeah, that also very well put.
You
He's
see
like
the ridge at
almost
his
preparing
temple.
himself for an
Awful
emotional
picture.
battle here.
Mm.
Sorry, Tammy.
Oh no, I was like, you can see the him flexing his jaw and
Yeah.
his temple where it's tensed up. I always thought that he
Oh yeah,
acted very well without the eyes anyway.
he does.
do a
Yeah,
good job of it, yeah.
But no, he does. But what he did was he was overacting on purpose because he knew he had less to show, so he had to move his mouth more. He had to move his body more. If he didn't have the visor, it would look like overacting. So he had to
I mean, I guess
overdo it.
if
to
you're like
compensate.
looking from one person to another, you'd need to do it by moving your head rather than moving your eyes. So I guess it just means that you have to exaggerate slightly to convey the same sort of thing as somebody that's
he had to do
confused.
theater acting. He had to play out to the seats in the back, whereas everyone else could just move their eyebrow or squint or just move their hand. So that's pretty much the difference.
On the bridge, Worf
I
detects.
look grumpy.
I mean, who sits like that? I mean, what is Riker doing?
What's he playing with?
Covered his balls by the looks of
Yeah, he's having a little fiddle for himself.
We call it.
It's a bit much.
We call it Riker's happy time on the bridge.
Yeah,
He's
Picard
gotta
has
be
he's
there.
like,
Picard has to sit there pretending not to notice. Just look at the view screen. Just look at the view screen.
You're like, this is not a sexy mission. I guess I'll just have to help myself.
Worf can't help himself. He has to look. He just can't help it. Nope, that's my camera.
sugar nut, honey bunch. I can't help myself.
Anyway, yes. So we're on the bridge. Worf picks up that the Raman is descending into the bowels of the planet's atmosphere.
Ramen is ascending. Okay.
Yes. Then they realise that it is Geordie that is doing it. So then we head back down to the Raman. Geordie's inputs have maxed out. So Data threatens to start pulling him out. But Geordie's mum pleads with him not to stop. Geordie pushes Data to exceed the tolerances, and eventually he agrees to go to 11.
Can you imagine him going, why are you stopping now, Data? You had no problems melting my brain. What's holding you back now?
Just while they run that shot, the chandelier, if you want to call it that, or the lighting piece, I'm fairly sure that's the one that Gorkon was under in Star Trek 6, and the unit underneath, I think that was on the Defiant Engineering when it came in, although I had that kind of thing that dived into the centre of it.
Yeah, it does look like something that should be in the middle of a TARDIS, doesn't it? It needs to have a thing going up and down in the middle.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah, well, it only makes that noise if you leave the
Almost like
brakes on.
buttons. Looks like a keyboard. Like I'm just used to seeing like everything is like a flat surface, but It almost looks like buttons,
Oh,
but
it's
I
like
think
raised. Yeah, it's like raised.
I think it's just the graphics make it look that way. But
Yeah, I see what you mean.
yeah.
It's
Well,
like
the
a raised
panel is
surface. Picard and Crusher arrive in the lab, and Picard orders Geordi to stop. Stop, I say. But he won't until he rescues the Hara and her crew. Slight issue, though. When they arrive at the spot where the Hara should be, he finds that there is no ship. He can't find it anywhere, so his mum decides to suck his brains out with her fingers. Well, at least that's what I assume that she's doing. I don't know. I'm not medically advised to really comment on that.
Don't
Geordi-
want to get sucked out by your. Oh, no.
No.
I'm gonna finish this.
Shush
Leave
now.
it, leave it.
Geordi manages to ask Data to use the reverse attractor beam trick to push his mum away. No means no, mum. No means no.
As long as that has nothing to do with the popcorn trick.
Yeah. Then his mum
Don't know what that is.
spontaneously.
It's better you don't know.
Yes.
Okay.
His mum spontaneously turns into a fireball, which was slightly unexpected. And the fireball tells him he needs to take them further down because he is killing them. So then Geordi strikes up a conversation about this and finds out that the Ramen accidentally picked up some alien life forms when it skimmed a layer that they resided in the atmosphere. They accidentally killed the crew, the entire crew, and are now dying unless they return home. Whilst this is going on, the Enterprise crew are coming up with ways to disconnect Geordi, including transferring him to like a test environment where they can then bring him gently out. Then Geordi tells them exactly what's happening, including how these beings must have read his mind and taken on the image of his mum. Geordi takes the ship down further for about another 2 seconds, and that's enough for his mum to be off. Which she does. She disappears into a ball of fire, and the ramen explodes. But luckily, they get Geordi out in the nick of time, and all is well.
Yeah, she Johnny Cash out of there.
She did. That's just the shot we have of the ramen explosion. If anybody wanted to know what a ramen explosion looked like, there it is.
Go on, Sean. Make it. No, don't do that.
No, I've cleaned it up. Sorry, just talking about the chat. It just seems we lost everybody. I don't know. It's the cold got.
I
them,
mean,
but,
people are still watching, but they just haven't
Yeah.
been so active in chat. So I just thought
Yeah,
I'd
we-
make sure everybody's still there.
Although I will take the opportunity. We've been stuck on 521 subscribers for like 2 or 3 weeks now. So
Yeah.
if you're watching,
Yeah, Stu's there, Ruth there.
Yeah, they're all
everybody's
still there. Anyway,
It's just not as chatty. Like earlier, it was like manic chat, really difficult. To keep up
last
with. And then it
statement,
was like
and we're all done.
sad.
Later in Picard's
we're
ready
almost
room,
there.
Geordi takes responsibility for his actions. Picard tells him that it'll be noted on his service record. Picard does tell him that he is sorry he didn't find his mother. Geordi, though, finds that the experience was so real to him that he feels like he had a chance to say goodbye IRL. So that was the end of the episode. Done.
It's real. I created it and it's real.
I'll tell you what is real. It's question time.
I
Lovely
know what
stuff.
that was from. That's Cisco.
It was Far Beyond the
You
Stars.
can't destroy an idea. Yeah,
Ah, great
that's
episode.
an
Love
amazing episode.
it. Definitely in my top 2 of all Trek episodes ever. There's like 900 now. So, what type of energy did Data detect in Geordi's vicinity? A. Tetron, B. Quantum, C. Albuquerque, D. Subspace. And the bonus question, what reprimand did Geordi receive for disobeying orders?
Oof. Bit of a guessy doo-doos, but
yeah, so my two favorite episodes of all of Star Trek are both Deep Space Nine. It is, as I said, Far Beyond the Stars, and it was In the Pale Moonlight. In the Pale Moonlight is where Cisco breaks bad and, you know, like,
It's
brings
a fake!
Romulus into the war by killing people. Yeah. And one episode said it's...
So in
one
the
episode they go,
Moonlight's
it's
top,
real.
is it?
Say it again?
What you said that it was in your top 2 episodes, but like which one is 1 and which one is 2?
I chop and change. But one episode he says it's real, and the other episode someone says to him it's a fake, and that just happens to be a coincidence, but I love.
Oh yeah, true. Cool. Okay, so
It's a fake.
It's real.
There is a clip on YouTube of.
Warning, but yeah, he said something like, yeah, no, he said it would go on his permanent record.
Yeah, well, there's no points for grammar. If you're in the general area, it's fine.
Well, it's not like a written warning, but yeah, like I know.
I'd accept that as an answer. It's close enough.
Anyway, so I don't have much for the last one. So at about 35 minutes in, which actually was not true because I was like, have I missed it? Have I missed it? I checked several times. It's around 37 minutes, but when Geordie goes back and he starts, you know, when he turns around to speak to his mother, like everything's flashing towards the end, and he asks Data to boost the power signal, and then Data says he can't, and blah blah blah. They just go away, and then finally he can then see his mum again. There's a panel behind her. It's a reflective panel, and there's a boom arm waving around. And it's not just like briefly, it's for like about a minute or two, and you can just see it like it's clearly being held by somebody, because it's sort of you know, it's doing this, it's just sort of ambling around. It goes up but towards the end, but yeah, so bit of an error there, and as a general observation, I guess, reflecting on the whole episode, this is a 3rd episode where Geordie forms some sort of bond with an image of a person, only to find that the reality is different, because he's had like Leah Brahms and other sorts of things like this before.
Oh, yeah.
Poor Geordie. And this kind of actually really bugs me, but the fate of the USS Hera is not actually resolved in this episode, and it's not actually resolved or talked about again at all in TNG or in any of the you know, the natural arc.
It'll be in season 5 of Lower Decks.
I had a different problem.
Maybe it was addressed apparently in a non-canon novel called Indistinguishable by Magic, or Indistinguishable from Magic, but I don't know what that fate was, but I haven't read that book. But you know, it just feels like a really unsatisfactory loose end that they've left there. Poor Geordie, never knowing what happened.
The expression indistinguishable from magic is from any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. So if we went back even, I don't know, to 1900 and showed them a smartphone and played them a 4K video, that they would think you're a witch. So that's what that's referred to. But the other thing that annoyed me was we never found out what class either of these ships were. Maybe I'm being a little bit of a ship nerd.
Yeah, I looked it up and I'm like, are you serious? They didn't say what type?
It's like, yeah, some beta canon calls the Raman an Oberth, and some beta canon calls the the Hera Nebula, but like, it's just not decided. Nobody, it's just, we don't see them, we don't hear from them, we just accept. I don't know. That annoys me.
They just don't care.
I can't believe we had not just the Enterprise, but 2 other starships in this episode, and we didn't see.
And we didn't see either of them.
Anything. Yeah. That's my biggest bugbear with this episode.
And Mazza, do you have a point on the Hera? On the Raman? well, if you did, you would have brought it up. I think I read it's the only ship we see the interior of without seeing the exterior of. I believe, or something to that effect.
Oh, right.
Because we don't know what type of ship it is, but we do see it internally.
We do? When do we see it internally?
When the probe was flying around it.
No, that was the...
Not the Hera, that was
wasn't
the
the
ramen.
Hera.
Oh, the ramen.
The ramen.
Sorry, did I say Hera? I meant ramen. Excuse
All
me.
right. Okay.
Although, technically speaking, we do see the inside of the Hera because we see his mother on the screen, but... Yeah.
Well,
So I suppose you could argue that too.
True.
yeah. Yeah, I think that was just a disappointing thing for me. It takes me out of it a little bit, like not being able to visualize what, like when the probe was there. It's just like we'll get the probe there. Well, how did you get the probe there? You didn't see the probe like be shot out of the Enterprise or flying through the space or entering that. It's like how did all that happen? You can't. Did you beam it there? Can you just beam stuff in and out? You can't beam it, so. No, I don't know. I just found that all very unsatisfactory. Especially when they haven't got enough runtime that they got to create extra scenes because they're like, oh, there's not enough stuff in this episode. Well, you could have put some special effects in it to show the bloody ship, couldn't you? That would have.
And explain how they were phasing through the bulkhead. Yeah, you've actually argued me down a point in my score because while they're not plot holes, they're not explained sufficiently. So you're right.
And that obvious cost saving.
It was very shoestring budgety, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just the whole
You can't call it the B word though, can you, Sean? Because they had
no
that you can't even explain actually. You don't even know where they're used from. So.
They had like 2 corridors and some sort of engineering room and or / magnetic resonance room, which is probably a redress. Yeah, I still don't know how those sets fit together, even though I can see some of the parts they were made of. But
I wonder if it's like from like Star Trek Borg, like computer game, or whether it was built for something like that.
Yeah, well, I can tell you, I think Star Trek Borg is the one with John Delancey with Q, and it's supposed to be during the Wolf 359, and they couldn't find enough of the TNG uniforms, so they all have Voyager uniforms, but they're all on the bridge of a TNG bridge at the time they were wrong, so they were really cheap about that. They just used the sets they had. They had Voyager sets, and they were claiming it was true. It wasn't. I'm sorry.
I will assume that we are stopping bingo now, right?
Let's stop bingo. Yes, bingo stopped now. Yep. Yeah. Let's get the scores.
It's weird because there were so many bingos thrown out tonight, and yet I still haven't got a line. When we changed the bingo, did you add more options by any chance? Because it feels like I don't know.
I added less so people could get more
opportunities
for bingo. Yeah.
Well, I definitely seem to be getting less hits than I used to get.
Ditto. But I think everyone else...
Oh, yes, you've got the bingo scores already. Brilliant. Okay, cool. Well, if you guys want to carry on just for a minute or two with a little bit more reception, I'll give you the scores shortly.
I'm sure because everyone more or less.
Oh, you haven't actually done the answer to the question yet.
Yeah, it was D subspace and noted on his permanent record, but you can be reasonably loose with that.
Oh yes, we have
mentioned on his record, reprimand, whatever. Use your dress judgment.
So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
That's it. That's everyone.
Yeah.
Spin the wheel. Do dip 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 do 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 dip.
Really? Yay,
got with the yay! Hey, well done, Tammykins. Yay! Tabby got one.
Also, I apologize. I normally do a costume change to give extra bingos, but it's really cold tonight, and this is like the heaviest, most warm costume I have. So I'm just sticking with this because there's layers.
I don't blame you.
None of us
like an ogre.
Yeah, none of us blame you on that one tonight.
Yes. Me and my little moopsie.
Yeah, you gotta keep an eye on that, Moopsie. Could devour you at any moment. You gotta keep an eye on it.
I had a lot of conflicting feelings about this episode. Mostly because we're viewing it from, or at least I'm viewing it from a different demographic. So just an American person of color. And I mean, we see this when you see Troy. So, looking at that from a woman's point of view, she's extremely underserved with writing and with character development. And in this one, it's a bit awkward for me to watch because the history of the United States is extremely embarrassing.
No.
How it, yeah. You wouldn't have thought,
Really?
Yeah. And so watching this, it was like, I don't want to see it because it's got a lot of stereotypes, like Black men are underdeveloped psychologically, and Jordy's been a like poster child of this in the most delicate ways, but his storylines have been really bad and it's so awkward. So before he's this loser who can't get anyone, and then when he's finally attracted to a woman, he's pushing himself on a white woman. And it's like, oh, people were killed for this. So it was really tacky. And then in this one, he's going around and he can't accept something as simple as his mother passing away and a ship being lost when he's experienced so much as his level of a senior officer. And I'm like, really? You can't, your entire family is Starfleet. Losing someone?
Yeah, that is commander. His mother's a captain.
A
So
captain.
yeah. Although that's a very positive depiction. So that's a good thing.
That is good. Of course, they have it. One of the other tropes that's talked about in some in circles is that anytime there's a Black woman in Star Trek, she gets killed immediately. Like in Conspiracy.
Well, that's just a horror film thing, isn't it?
Dead. Yeah, it's very much like that. Or now it's his mother dead, and okay, it's like, all right. And
It's like a woman in fridge trope almost.
yeah, fridged. And yeah, so it's just like watching it is really awkward. And from a military point of view, it's also very awkward because I'm like, this is not how you behave as a command officer or a senior officer. What is he doing? Why is he acting like this?
He's in charge of the engine room. He's not technically the third officer, but on most ship, like in a real naval ship, he would be the third officer.
Yeah.
He's the fourth officer after Data, but in any other ship, he'd be third.
Yeah, so I just...
I know we don't talk about this often, but I'm guessing this episode fails the Bechdel
test.
Test.
Yeah.
Because there is no point where two women talk to each other that aren't talking about a man. In fact, there's no point where two women talk to each other.
Yeah.
No.
Is Beverly even in it?
Yes, she's monitoring.
Yeah.
She's
Oh,
monitoring.
She's
She has a
monitoring
line.
his life signs and everything.
That answers itself.
She's in it for a scene or two, and Troy's in it for a scene or two, and Geordie's mother's in it, but none of them are in the same scene.
Even
together.
when the command crew meet to discuss what they're going to do about it, it's all the boys. I even said well, the boys meet in the observation lounge.
And it's like, why
Crush
did you
not
ask
there,
the
not
doctor?
Surely his psychological condition should be a major part of the equation, but yeah.
And you should have Troy there overseeing.
And even if they were there, they would just be talking about Geordie, so it would still fail the test. But
yeah,
just saying, I get what you're saying, Tabby, but yes,
It's
women generally in sci-fi
all
are
around.
massively underserved.
I understand it is a episode of his time, so it's like, just get through it. When I would have watched this as a younger person, like when I was 9, this would have never occurred to me, and I just would have been able to enjoy the story and get into the fantasy. But they're not writing for children.
Although I will say, having a mother who's a captain, having a father who's a commander, and you yourself as a lieutenant commander, I mean, that is a high achieving family. That, like, I would think statistically that doesn't happen in real life, you know. So they were shooting for the stars in one respect.
Where Starfleet royalty almost.
I would think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But listen,
So, here we are. Oh, in interface. Okay. Scores.
That's a
we
bad
have to
one.
get our scores.
Oh, I think Maz is frozen.
Ah,
Oh, no,
No,
there's
we're back.
that's
We're back.
okay. I was about to say oopie doopie problems again, but no, I'm back.
Oh, there you
Okay.
go.
Cool. Wicked.
We're ready
So
for the
I have the
scores.
scores on the board. First place tonight, I hope she is still watching, is Ruth Begins with 10 points.
Oh, Ruth! Oh,
Well done, Ruth. Congratulations.
She had, for the record, 355 TNG review points.
That's a lot of
to
TNG
secure
review
that
points.
win. Oh, no, I rely. 360.
Wow. Even more.
360. 5 points behind her with 355 is Tavakins. So 9 points for
9
Tavakins.
points.
Dana.
I will. There we go. Congratulations, Terry.
And next on the list is my good self, actually, with 340 TNG review points.
Fix.
So I get 8 points.
8 points for you.
And next is Montyban with 300 points. So that's 7 points for you.
7 points for me.
Next again is Stu Plumius with 290, so only 10 points behind you.
Very
So
close.
6 points on the board for Stu Plum. And then next is Time Lord with 35 points, so 5 points for Time Lord. And then obviously not participating in the quiz, but picking up on points because they attended. And in bingo is Smiler with 10 points on bingo. So that would be 4 points for Smiler. And also Mr. T, 3 points for Mr. T.
Wow. Lots of points.
Yeah, we
I
had
don't
like
think
7
Ruth.
points
I don't think Ruth was here
scorers.
for her win. But
No, we had 8. We had 8 point scorers this week.
Yeah, 8
That's
point
kinda more
scorers
than
this
normal,
week.
I think.
Yeah, that's good. That's good for the scoreboard. And that puts now Ruth into second place. Everybody's still... Oh, Ruth's still here. Yeah, she's there. Ruth's in second place now. Chomping up my
she's
heels.
going for it.
She's going
Oh,
for it.
Tavi's out of the running here. What's going on?
Well,
I'm not taking
She's
notes
not out of the
anymore.
running. She's like a
Silent.
couple of points behind, that's all.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
so close. I mean, it's only a couple episodes in, but it's so
not-
close. But
She's
now,
not the lower horse she thinks she
It's
is.
so close.
so close.
Well, Tabby has stopped keeping detailed notes on everything.
Yeah.
So she's trying to just watch the episodes and absorb it rather than keeping detailed notes this season.
It's the last.
So,
it's the last
you know,
season. It's the last
scores may
episode.
reflect that, but I'm sure it's more relaxing and more fun to see who else can remember more facts.
Remind me, who's your D Space Nine boyfriend?
Oh,
Rom.
me?
Yeah, Tavi. Oh, Rom. Yeah, so Rom is your.
Oh,
D-Space boyfriend.
right.
Tavi, sorry, I was directing it at
Oh, no, Quark is my Deep Space Nine.
Oh, is he? Oh.
that.
Oh, I thought you liked
Rom.
Rom.
Rom, I love Rom, but he can have Lita, and his snaggletooth is off-putting. I can't do it.
The snaggle tooth. like
Maybe she liked Rom up to a point, like when she was watching it, and maybe that's now changed.
If I needed to like marry someone and have a baby daddy, it would definitely be Rom. But if I just wanted a companion and someone who would keep me pissed off and feisty, but also it'd have to be Quark. I would be very much the Odo in that relationship.
Yeah. Okay, so think about what you'd give this episode out of 10, and put it in chat, please. I've got mine selected already for my paddle, so I'm ready to go. I'm good to go. I've got it loaded in the chamber. I'm ready to fire. I nearly put my paddle up a minute ago prematurely, but
I don't know how quickly people are going to respond. So Ruth has put her score, and we have Time Lord's score, but we don't have Wookiee's score, or we don't have Stu's score. So,
come on, let's get your scores into live chat. Marks out of 10. What would you give this episode?
Give us a
score, Wook.
Nice. Come on, Wookie. Give us your score. But we have 3 at least.
Right,
So,
you ready?
Are we paddling? We're paddling.
We're going to wave our paddles about. Are you ready? 3, 2, 1. Boing. Oh.
4, 5, 4, 6. So fairly consistent, actually.
Yeah, well, I was swayed by the sets, really. Just the fact that they made some new sets that we hadn't seen before. And I actually started at a 7, and then Monty argued me down because he pointed out some of the inconsistencies in the episode, and I went, yeah, I'll go down.
I'll tell you what I liked about it. All right? There's one thing I liked about it, and that was the fact that it gave Geordie's character some more depth in learning about his family.
Agreed.
Seeing his mum and dad, knowing about his sister, you know, actually him talking to his mum. You know, it's long overdue some character development. And the fact that, you know, okay, it's wrong for the chief engineer to disobey orders and go, but you know, he stood up for himself. He took control of the situation. He wasn't taking any nonsense, and I quite like that as well. But that being said, for me,
The audience score, by the way, is 5.5.
oh, so it's 6.
So that rounds up to a 6, right?
But that all being said, they didn't show the ships.
That's the problem.
They only shown the probe in one, you know, scene with the reflection, which I just thought was lazy. They could have done some really cool cinematography with that. The other character scenes just were really quite trite. Riker was just awful in his consoling, and the only good scene was probably Data in the poetry and the Hakunai, whatever. That was quite funny. But yeah, I just thought it was boring, drawn out, lacked the ships, lacked any real sense of what they should be doing. Didn't really make any sense. And at the end of the day, the outcome was very unsatisfactory. That, well, he saved some unknown entities that nobody else saw, that we don't know what they were. The horror, that we didn't really know what it was, we'll never see again.
or yeah, no mention, yeah.
It was just like, really, that episode could have just not happened.
You know,
didn't really do anything.
I realize it's too late, but you've actually argued me down to a 5.
No, I'll change it.
Yeah.
It's my show.
It is too late.
Yeah.
No,
okay.
Too late.
Okay. Well,
Maz
it's
tells
your
me it's
show,
too
so
late.
you change it. You want to change
Score
it.
my front.
I mean, the part I liked was the fact there was new sets, or even if they weren't new sets, the set dressing made them look like new sets. That's what brought it up a bit for me. And and the episode as a whole didn't drag, but I absolutely take your point.
Yeah.
I thought it was
I also felt like it didn't drag. Sorry, you can go, Terry.
I thought it was a lot of strange directions for how they decided to move the plot along and how they created an interaction. I didn't realize, or I didn't see the necessity as to why this entity needed to deceive him, not introduce itself and say, "We need help. You're hurting us."
Good point.
What's with the deception and and then later on attempting to touch him or whatever when it's realized that it's killed every other thing on board that can help it.
It read the crew's minds by touching their heads, right?
Blowing their brains
but
out.
blowed their brains out, and it tried that with every single member of the entire crew until they were all dead. Did it not
That was only a assumption.
Yeah, that's
Like
assumption.
all the crew were dead. They said, "Oh, maybe it tried to talk to them, and maybe this interface allowed me to talk to it." That was very sort of supposed.
We don't know, do we? Though we're assuming that. But how did it know Geordie's thoughts in the first place? Then, if it didn't already do the, if it can read his mind,
Clearly had some
having that buffer in the middle, that probe buffer.
I don't know.
So it was like, for me, it was just weird. And I do love that there is a Geordie and Data scene, but I feel like it was contrived because it depended heavily on Data going against orders. And I know he's developed as a character, but I don't honestly think an android nor a senior officer would do that. I feel like they were very out of character responses and behaviors.
I don't know. I feel like
they could have
gotten a
great
scene for me. I thought it was, he still has to, although hasn't he shown before that he can still make a risk-based decision if given a direct order that he disagrees with? Hasn't that come up before?
Data.
That he has that human ability to
it does in
go against orders. He's not just a robot that will do anything anybody tells him. If it goes against his best ethical subroutines and everything else.
Do you remember the blockade? The episode with the Klingon Civil War with the blockade and Sela trying to come over, and
but
he disobeys them. But he ignored direct orders because he knew better. And he submitted himself for disciplinary action. And Picard said, Starfleet is more about just than following orders, and sometimes you just need to do the right thing. And I said, I've noted the same in your log. So he submitted himself expecting a reprimand, and Picard was like, no, you're grand. You did you made the best effort to do the right thing at the right time, and it worked out. But even if it didn't work out, you were still doing the best you could.
And like you say, with him asking Geordie to circumvent the rules in the past on account of his friendship, I feel like he would have incorporated things like that into his subroutines and, in his understanding and, adjust his behavior accordingly. But I have some.
Sorry, go on. Excuse me.
Well, I was just going to say I have some general reception from the staff and stuff, which will only further solidify a lower score. So don't just keep revising them down. But apparently, Ronald D. Moore felt that TNG had basically gone as far as it could be taken. In his words, I think it was at a point where we were in a room and we were all talking about bringing Geordie's mother in, and we were kind of looking at each other and this is sad. Is this the best we can do? In another interview, he commented about some creative burnout in sessions. Levar Burton welcomed more insight into his character, but said, we're just touching the iceberg, we should go into more depth, etc. Naren Shankar questioned whether the premise was futuristic enough, the idea of having a probe. He said that wasn't really interesting from a technology point of view because you're already looking at technology like this now. It's kind of more like 40 years in the future, not 400 years in the future. And science advisor Andrei Bormanis noticed that, we've got prototypes of this already today. Tying it into the brain will obviously take much longer, but not very futuristic. So fairly damning reception.
I think, the thing is, nowadays they make eight episode series or whatever, because they just find that trying to make a 20 episode or a 26 episode series now is just way too stressful for people now. It's just they don't want to be doing it, That's just back then, even when now we've got computer graphics and things, so invariably making episodes are actually a lot easier now than what they were when you had to do all the practical stuff. But the amount of effort it must have taken these people to put this quality show out in the 1980s and 90s must have been superhuman. And by this 7-year run, by this time, they're fucking knackered, aren't they? Basically, they're
working for 46 weeks a year or something, and it's like 12, 14-hour days. I read somewhere that, it was on the Shuttlebot show. There was a thing where they were working 14, 16 hour days in Deep Space Nine, and then there was 3 or 4 of the crew who ended up being major car crashes, and one of them died. And then they readjusted the schedule after the fact, because they were working 70-hour weeks for 30, 40 weeks totally. And it's just crazy. And I was watching another interview with Richard Dean Anderson of MacGyver and Stargate fame, and he had negotiated into his contract that he would have a 2-week break in the middle of the season. And he was talking to one of the writers, and he was like, "We're so grateful for that, because since you had a break, everyone else had a break. So the whole production had a break in the middle of the schedule." Because Americans just, the way their labor laws work, they will sometimes just work 40 weeks straight, 60 hours a week, and no break, no days off. And it's just...
Yep. And if you don't do it for the money, you don't have a job. They'll find someone else who's desperate enough to do it for you.
Yeah, that's the way it goes.
And as Wiki points out, the demographic now that the shows are aimed at is completely different, and they want their content in smaller, more digestible sizes rather than the sort of big long forms of 26 episodes.
Yeah, well, but the other side of that is Discovery's coming back, and I can't remember where it ended. It was 2 years ago, there was 8 episodes, and I can't really remember what happened, and it's just do I have to watch it again to catch up, or do I just drop back in?
Oh, hell no. That season's done, isn't it? That storyline's finished. The new series will be something completely different. There'll be something that's threatening the galaxy, and they'll have to go find a widget. Then it'll be 8 episodes of them flying around the galaxy, searching various planets for various widgets that they need to combine for a super widget. I don't know.
a MacGuffin, as it's called in the industry.
A MacGuffin.
I can tell you a little bit about it. I know what the MacGuffin is. The MacGuffin.
There's a MacGuffin, is there?
There's a MacGuffin. It's a Romulan ship from the TNG era. And they need to get to it. So there's a TNG connection, or at least from that 24th century, possibly 25th, but I think it's 24th century. It's very loose. But they've shown shots of it, so they are tying that in somehow.
Wonderful.
Beyond that, I can't tell you very much, but there's some ancient technology they need to get out of this MacGuffin 24th century ship, and the plot goes from there. We'll find out.
Is that them trying to pull an Enterprise, be like, oh, bring back the show that people remember loving? Wasn't that TNG? Okay, let's go find a TNG ship. Picard did great.
It worked for Picard season 3.
Yeah.
Well,
let's go find some TNG stuff.
Well, I can tell you
That's
about
Discovery.
Discovery.
No.
Well, I can tell you about Discovery season 5 that they weren't planning on it being. They weren't planning on it being the last season, and then they shot it, and then they decided not to go on with it, and then they had to reshoot the last 3 episodes to try and tie it up. So I don't have high faith on it going out in a good way, but we'll see.
Are they still doing another season? I thought they ended it.
No, there's another 10 episodes to come out around April.
Yes. Season 5, is it?
Yeah, but they hadn't decided to finish it. They shot the whole thing, and then they had to cobble the last 3 episodes and redo them to make it a finale. So
I can't wait.
It's probably awful. But I've seen all Trek. I have to watch it. It's just the way it goes.
It's the way it goes. We have to suffer for our... I don't know why.
I don't have to like it, but I have to watch it at least once.
Yeah.
I do love Joe Trimble's comment to that because it's given me so much solace.
Yeah.
You're happy
For
you
any-
got your Trek. This is Trek for someone else. It's their turn
Exactly.
to have
That's the
their
way I see
Yeah.
it now. Yes.
And
Yes.
for anyone who doesn't know who B. Joe Trimble is, she's the woman who led the letter writing campaign that got us TOS season 3.
Ah. Well, fantastic woman. Thank you very much. We owe you a
Oh,
great
she's-
debt.
She's
She's
in her
still alive
90s.
and going to.
Yeah.
She's still alive and going to conventions, but she's as I said, in her 90s. Or I thought she was turning 90, but either way, she's old.
Oh, serious question from Wookie. What do you think is the best intro level? I guess you mean for Star Trek for a millennial. I honestly think the best intro level.
What's a
now-
millennial again?
Millennial is like, I think, like my children.
Well, I'm a
No.
millennial.
Is that? Oh no, millennial. No, that's like yes. No, it's from 1981.
1980, like 3
83,
to
early 80s
to
to-
1990,
Yeah,
something like that.
that's a millennial. Sorry, yeah, they're Gen.
Gen Z
Gen Z. Yeah. No,
or Gen Z if you're
Ages
American.
23 to 38, according to Google.
23 to 38. Oh, I just go straight in with TNG for those guys. If it's like my
Yeah,
children,
I'm 38. I'm an older millennial.
yeah, I think start or even just start from the beginning and just watch through it all
A non-nerd 30-year-old.
and just enjoy the whole experience.
It depends on the character of the person, I think. I think you just have to be selective. So, for example, with my partner, he doesn't like Star Trek at all. I have to apologize. I do have hiccups. I put it in chat, but I don't know if you picked up on it.
I didn't realize.
But my
Boo!
partner is
Oh,
totally
anyway.
not into Star Trek at all. But I almost feel like Lower Decks and Prodigy would be the best places to start him with, just because of his
Yeah.
personal likes and such like. And Monteban observed, some really young people recently on YouTube actually enjoying Star Trek from the very start, from the original series, and seeing it all chronologically, and they really loved it. So I think you kind of need to base it on who the person is and what their likes and dislikes are. I kind of really hope that my other half will eventually like Deep Space Nine, just because I like it so much, and two of his very close friends, it's their favorite series, and they've started telling him how good it is, and I'm hoping to draw him into that.
Well,
Bit of peer pressure, but we'll see.
I would think, depending on the personality, Star Trek 2 or Star Trek 4, not Star Trek 3 because it's too much lore. I didn't mean to rhyme. But like Star Trek 2 is The Hunt for Red October. It's that, Michael Crichton novel, of a film is great. And Star Trek 4 is very japey, and you don't really need to understand much about the plot just to follow the kind of whimsical nature of it. I think both of those would also be good. I agree with you. Prodigy is a great place, as is Lower Decks. But I would also say Star Trek 2 or Star Trek 4.
I introduced my children to Voyager first, just because it was slightly more faster pace than TNG, and the characters were a little more colourful. But it was just a little bit more modern, really. I tried to get them onto TNG, but they just found it boring, unfortunately.
Yeah.
One of the things I would suggest where you can get when you know that person, you can pick out actually the best episodes of different shows. Because the ones before TNG and Voyager, and TOS and the animated series, along with Lower Decks and all these other, you can take the bangers, like the top 10s, to get someone really revved up, and they'll see what they like. Because I have not been able to stand watching Voyager. It has been like chewing on glass.
It's a bit slow, yeah, for me.
And I like, it pains me every time. So I always have to look at someone's top 10 and listen to people talking about the controversy or how great it was. And then I'll watch that episode, and it's like, oh, okay, maybe I can do this. And then I end up hopping back into the storyline where I can. And that person might be able to see what feel of Star Trek they like the best.
Did you ever see Tuvix?
Yeah, I saw that one. That was the first one I saw, and I'm just cold-blooded. To me, I'm going, I don't see the problem.
Yeah. Two officers are better than one, absolutely.
I was like,
but
it's murder.
I was
but it's my call.
Well, yeah, but you're not running a charity, you're running a ship, and lives matter, and like the whole ship's lives matter. Not anyway.
And I consider it non-consent. It's like,
what you can also do. What you can also do.
You're a sailor. You don't have consent. Tough shit. You signed up.
What you can also do is if they maybe comedic episodes, you could watch the Q arc episodes. So you could take TNG, but just pick out all the Q episodes and watch them as like a mini series. Or if you think they're the sort of person that would Klingons, you could watch the Klingon arc episodes. Or if they like gothic horror, you could watch the Borg episodes. You can take them through like that.
If you look at Move Along Home or If Wishes Were Horses from the early seasons of DS9, there's some whimsical episodes there. You can pick and choose, and they're not everyone's favorite
I would
episodes,
not recommend anybody watch Move Along Home as an introduction to Star
Trek. I think
Trek.
it's a great episode. It's great. I love
my face off.
That's the Alan Moraine, count to 3, Alan Moraine, then 4 more. The hopscotch episode.
You're fired with that, Sean. No,
it's going to be so good that we're going to have some debates about this when we get around to it.
Well, I was in my sister's house at Christmas, and I had Prodigy up on the Netflix because I don't have Netflix at home. And I was just watching a few episodes when I had nothing else to do. I said, oh, what the hell, I'll drive up the viewing numbers. And my nephew came in, and I was like, oh, he's the bad guy, he's the good guy, and I was explaining it without trying to give away too much of the plot, and I was trying to get him involved in it, and I did take a little video of him watching the episode, asking questions when he wasn't looking, and I was put it onto Facebook, tagged Aaron Waltke, and I was like, yeah, indoctrinating the next generation. But I was actively trying to tell him as much as I could to get him engaged without obviously giving the whole plot away. And I don't know if we went back to it and watched more episodes, but I got him to watch 3 episodes of Prodigy on Christmas Day, just trying to say, okay, maybe I can get him over the line here. Maybe I can turn him.
Prodigy's good though. It's good. I think that's good. If you've got little kids, then get them into Prodigy.
Well, my nephew's 15, but I 14, one of those. Anyway, but I mean, it was easy enough for a show he hadn't seen before, and he didn't have the 900 episodes of lore to just explain the basic principles. He's the good guy, he's the bad guy. They need to go on the ship to get there. It wasn't difficult to pick up. He was getting it.
That's what's so great about it. They're like, what's this thing called Starfleet? It kind of explains it all from scratch, right?
Yeah. You don't need to know a single thing. They just introduce. And it does start slow, and some people hated it for that, but yeah, they had to spend 8 or 10 episodes bringing in the general concepts. There's no other way to do it. And I had a problem that the older Star Trek fans go, it's a animated show, I don't want to watch it, and trying to bring in the new fans, they were kind of struggling to get to the point where they could just tell stories because they had to kind of build up the lore to get them there, so... And I guess that's why it got cancelled, but thankfully it's brought back, and I hope they do a hell of a lot more of it. I'm looking forward to season 2.
14-year-old were minors in the Victorian times. Down the base.
Yeah, in Prodigy they are.
Oh. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, they are. They
take all the children and make them minors.
They make them minors. Yeah, they do. They do indeed. Does anybody want to know my top tip for something to watch this week? I've just discovered this week. I'm only halfway through watching it, but this is my top tip for the week. Don't even see it. It's an animation. It's not anime because it's actually it's French. It's French American on Netflix. It's called The Blue-Eyed Samurai. An animation a mini-series on Netflix. I will say. It's my top tip for the week. It is an 18, so you gotta hope you could not, have a strong stomach for cartoon violence and cartoon nudity. There's both male and female. It's there's a bit of both of that. It is an 18, so but it's great. I'm really enjoying it. Fantastic. I won't say anything about it because I don't want to give any of it away. But I will say it's about, because this is for the opening scene, it's about a mixed race samurai.
Wookie wants you to repeat the title.
Blue-eyed samurai. I think that's what it's called.
Yeah.
Yeah, who gets orphaned at an early age and is trying to find the white people that could be their parents, to destroy them because of the terrible life that they've had. And the characters are just rich. The animation is fantastic, and the action, the fight scenes are amazing. I'm just thoroughly enjoying it. So I'm not sure how it's gone down out in the community. I haven't really looked it up, but I highly recommend it. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm mostly watching Buffy at the moment, and it's not as good as I remember, but I think that's just because I was a teen when I watched it. I'm not a teen now, and this soppy
I've
teenage
rewatched
drama.
Buffy many times.
I've watched it
and I
loads of
still
times.
love it.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah.
I'm enjoying it. I'm just not enjoying it as much as I remember. I did try a rewatch of Angel, and I got lost in the middle, and I think I much prefer Angel. But I'm gonna see through Buffy before I get back to it. But of course, I'm in the Principal Snyder stage, so I still have Armin Shinnemoon, and I was watching him on Shuttlebot Show, and he was telling stories about how he'd have to do half a day at Deep Space Nine and then be shuttled over to do Buffy. How he's doing both at the same time, which is pretty cool to think about.
I don't think Wookie heard me right.
Yeah, he's just being funny, Wookie.
Blue-eyed samurai. Yeah, it's good. Anyway, check it out.
All right,
Either that or his speech to text is playing up again.
Yeah,
this is the way.
this is the way. Anyway, thank you, everyone. What's next? What's up next week? Oh, I tell you what's up next week. I know.
Gambit.
It's Gambit, part 1 and 2. We have a 2-parter next week, people. Yeah, the 2 parts are coming thick and
Yes,
fast.
I hadn't thought about that.
Wish me luck.
Gosh, another two-parter.
Another
There's been
2-parter.
so many of those lately.
I know.
Amazing.
One done not by Joe Manoski.
Ooh, two-parter.
Yeah.
Party.
So yes, Triple Part, Gambit Part 1 and 2. I honestly can't remember what it goes like. So
You love Gambit. I thought you loved Gambit.
I know. I must
do.
do.
Loves Gambit.
It'll
Maybe it's
all
G.
come back to me. It'll all come back to
I think
me.
it might be
It's,
G. Who really loves Gambit.
It's
G-star.
yeah, they have to like run around the galaxy looking for parts to bring a weapon
Don't
together.
spoil it.
Oh,
Apparently Montalban can't remember.
can't remember it.
This is the way.
This is the way.
Brilliant.
So
though.
yes,
Great.
join us next week at 8:00 on Wednesday for Gambit Part 1 and 2, 2-parter. Thank you to my co-hosts Mazza Bob, Chief Sean, and Tavikins Turner. You're the wrong way around. That confused me for a minute. And thank you to everyone in live chat, including but not inclusive of the Wookmeister. And Andrew Semple, thank you for coming along. Stu Plum, thank you. Sir Ruth Bryce, congratulations on your amazing win this evening. Tavikins, of course. Mazza Bob, yes. My ever-suffering wrench, Smiler Rainbow. She popped by and said hello. And now she's gone back down below. Oh, no. And
She just called to say she loved you.
yes, she just called. Is that about
Hello?
it? The Time Lord, of course. The Time Lord. Time Lord.
What did you do? Andrew and Stu.
Yeah, I
can't
did
remember.
those.
I was trying
I
to keep
did.
track of you then.
I did all them.
Good.
We will join
Okay.
you again at the same time next week for another episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation. Cheers.